Hey, I'm Ray Chu, Marketing Manager of the APT. Welcome to Taipei. I'm thrilled to tell you all about our upcoming series here in this amazing city from April 28th to May 7th. There are so many reasons to join this series. The new venue, Asia Poker Arena, is being built from the ground up and at 55 tables is the largest permanent poker room in Asia to provide the best player experience that APT has to offer. And the main event guarantee is set at 30 million Taiwan dollars. And it's not just about the poker. Taipei is a wonderful city with so much to offer. From the building that stands at 508 meters high, the Taipei 101, to the magnificent temples all around the city, to the gorgeous sunset at Danshui Bridge, to the delicious food at the night markets, and the incredible experience of releasing a sky lantern at Shifen. There's something for everyone. APT Taipei like you have never seen before. And go. And of course, the Asian Poker Tour has an amazing community of poker players. We're excited to welcome you to experience the new era of APT up close and personal. And like we always say, it won't be the same without you.
The APT Taipei main event has a guarantee of 30 million Taiwan dollars. A seat is 1,650 US dollars, but thanks to Natural 8, you can get yours for just $3. Let me tell you how. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday! Natural 8 has 3 satellite events, one on each Sunday, starting on Sunday, April 2nd. And the guarantees are extremely plus EV. It's a very good deal, you know. It's the best deal. Hey, I give you best price. Sunday, April 2nd, $30 satellite, 10 seats guaranteed. Sunday, April 9th, $200 satellite, 15 seats guaranteed. And Sunday, April 16th, $200 satellite, another 15 seats guaranteed. What an incredible deal. But if you are on an even tighter budget, it's not a problem. Each of these satellites I just mentioned have step satellites starting at $3. And if that's not good enough, there's more! For those who aren't quite ready to go all in on their travel plans for Taipei, boy do we have a deal for you, because for the first time ever, you can now qualify into the day 3 of the main event live in Taipei by playing the online day 1s of the main event on Natural 8 from the comfort of your own home. Step 1. Download the Natural 8 app and play any online main event day 1 flight. Step 2. Survive the bubble on day 1. And lastly, step 3. Jump straight into day 3 of the live APT main event in Taipei. And if somehow you still can't make it, you're guaranteed a min cash. But don't just take my word for it. You can learn all about these incredibly plus EV satellites and online day 1s at www.natural8.com. I'll see you in Taipei.
Get the cards in the air, shuffle up and deal.
Well, a very warm welcome back to the lovely island. Lovely feels like an understatement, Greg. The wonderful island of Phu Quoc, Vietnam. Go on.
The word that comes to mind to me is paradise. I got here like 9 days ago, and I found a beach, and I was like, well, this place is just paradise.
The paradise island of Phu Quoc,
That's
Vietnam.
all you need on one island. You've got beaches, you've got warm weather, and you've got poker. That is paradise to me. I don't know about you.
Does it have air to breathe?
Air to breathe.
Air to breathe.
Lovely clean air to breathe here. Wonderful. Yeah.
Clean air to breathe.
Folks,
Food,
yeah, the food
water.
is amazing.
Main event has been wrapped up.
Yes.
We're in the booth. You were out there on the floor capturing all of the highlights. You did a stint in the commentary booth. You've been capturing content. The buzz in the atmosphere hasn't faded just because the main's over. There's still events to be played, including this very high roller. Massive turnout here.
Yes, that's right. You're watching day one of the high roller. Today we're going to play down to level 15, the end of level 15. We're just starting on level 11. We've got 40-minute levels. So we've got lots of poker action coming your way, folks. You don't want to miss this at all. Again, commentary is being brought to you live by my esteemed colleague Henry Kilbane and myself, Poker Meme Lord Greg Goes All In. We've got quite the decorated little roster we have on this featured table. We can see we've got, starting from seat 1, we've got Woo Junhao of Singapore, Japan, Nagigiri Junichi. Seat 4, I'm still waiting for an update on seat 3, or perhaps I don't have it, but I see Okada Ken. I also see Okamura Motoyoshi, who I'm just looking at his Hendon mob right now, is a bracelet winner, over $1 million in total live earnings. Representing the motherland here in Vietnam, Le Ngoc Min of Vietnam. And also representing Mongolia. Great to see the Mongolian representation here. I've got Erdin Bayar, Bat Erdin. And in seat 8, we've got Andrews Ben Andrews from England.
Yeah, Bat Erdin Bayar was at our feature table in the main event as well. Strong representation during this APT from the Mongolian squad.
Yes, we even had, I believe, what was a Mongolian-specific tournament. I think they qualified through Natural. It was in Mongolian only, continued the live here. So that was a great event as well. And now, getting to the mix with the rest of the field. First hand of the day, hand number 1. Blinds are 2K, 4K, 4K big blind ante. Le Ngoc Min of Vietnam. First to act on having the home game advantage with the red 7s. Going to raise it up here. 8K, 2 big blind raise. Still very deep. Le Ngoc Min with 108 big blinds. I wonder what the average big blind is right now. We will find out shortly.
Very early into the day, obviously. There's going to be some runaway chip leaders that have just ran hot straight off the bat.
And Okamura Motoyoshi in the big blind, our bracelet winner.
Any bracelet winners about?
Gonna call here with the big blind special. Hits top pair
Maybe
versus
a
the over
winner,
pair.
but maybe out early in this high roller.
Yeah, depending on the run out, he might be able to get away from this. Checks to the pre-flop progressor, who bets 5K into 22K, shy of a quarter, a very small bet.
Well, that looks like check raising chips north to 20,000. So obviously fortunate runouts for the bracelet winner. Should an ace, king, queen, or a heart roll off, like an undercard to the board, or even like an 8, 9, or a 10, could be a disaster for Okamura.
Okamura thinking most of the time he's gonna have the best hand here on this board, and Le Ngoc Min's just gonna be c-betting quite often. Gonna make the raise there, try to get some equity protection. No such luck as he calls. And turn, bringing the overcard. Check raises flop, now checks turn. Less than a half pot, a little more than a half pot bet left remaining. Check, check. Off to a river. 9 of diamonds as Leon Yok-min gets the check mark here with the 7s and 5s king kicker. Okamura Motoyoshi no good with 6s and 5s king kicker. With only 9 big blinds left remaining.
Yeah, it's showing 62,000 in the middle. So SPR less than 1. And he's going to just block river. Shows the 6-4 and gets shown the bad news. Okamura down to just 5 bigs, Greg.
Little blocker bet.
Spin? Any spins?
Oh, if anyone at this table is going to be able to spin, it's going to be Okamura from Japan, who does have a bracelet once again. I'm just going through his Hendon mob, and I just see multiple first place finishes. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 first place finishes. Multiple seconds, thirds, fourths. Quite the decorated player here.
Yeah, a lot of talent showing up throughout this Asian Poker Tour Phu Quoc series.
Absolutely.
Seems to get a lot of attention in recent months.
Yeah, we even had the world famous, internationally beloved poker celebrity slash former StarCraft professional Elky come in, also known as Bertrand Grospellier is his real name, but goes worldwide by the name of Elky, by the alias of Elky. He was here for max late regging into the main event. Such a surprise to see him here. But when I asked him what he was doing here, and he said, "Oh, I was in the neighborhood, thought I'd drop by." But nice to see that the APT is picking up a lot of traction worldwide.
Yeah, it really is. Just a quick disclaimer for the viewers at home. Ben Andrews has not opened with Jack Deuce off. Do apologize for the graphical error.
The beauty of live television, folks.
Yeah, it's open from +1 with what I can assume. Hang on a minute, what's going on here? Okamura has jacked out the small for his final 5 bigs. Ben Andrews has got at least 1 jack in his hand with the RFID glitch, but he's going to fold. Maybe he did have
Maybe
jack
he did
deuce.
raise
Maybe,
jack
who
deuce.
knows?
Raise and a 3-bet and a 4-bet all in, or just all in to call, I guess. And it looks like we're refrigerator shopping as we go to Cooler Town. Queens versus Jacks here. Japan versus Japan. Motoyoshi needing to find a Jack to stay alive here. Okamura drawing to 2 outs. Only 1 true out left remaining. The Jack of Spades on the river. It won't come, and that's going to be a good game for Okamura Motoyoshi. Our former bracelet winner, unfortunately, leaving our feature table. Too bad. That's, I guess, how the way poker goes. I was excited to see his run. I was like, looking through his hand mob, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. But sometimes you run jacks into queens when you're short stacked.
That's how it be. That's how it be sometimes. Now,
Yep.
listen.
Listen.
I logged into Instagram today, and I was shocked that something that popped up on my feed about some of the content that you've been releasing behind, obviously, the branded name Greg Goes All In. It's been a bit of a rebranding.
Well, I have no idea what you're talking about. What
No?
are you talking about?
No
Henry
rebranding?
Kilbane?
Well, I was surprised. I was like, okay, you're here in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Surely you would have made us aware that there was this big rebranding kind of launch.
I was trying to keep it under wraps. But
Okay.
it is true. Greg Goes All In has now been rebranded to Garrett Goes All In. Garrett, of course, being my editor and friend. He just released a video announcing it. Yeah, I've decided I'm just going to stay in Vietnam indefinitely. I'll work the visa situation out later.
Okay.
What
Is it about Vietnam that has made you just leave life in Canada behind completely?
We talked about this already at the beginning of the stream.
The air. Paradise.
The air, paradise, the poker, the people, the food. Shall I go on? Forget my responsibilities back in Vancouver. Forget my cat.
Oh, wow. That's
Forget my apartment. I'm just going to stay here
uncalled for.
at the Corona
What did
Casino
the,
and
what did the
Resorts
cat ever do?
here in Phu Quoc at the APT Phu Quoc. Okay, what's going on here? Top pair, 6 kicker for the Mongolian. Takes it down.
Little blind v blind action.
And check it out. 98 players started. 98 entries, I should say. Down to 53 now. Late red should be close. And taking a look at the chip counts, Lin Yok Min, home game advantage, leading the pack right now. You can see in the Lacoste shirt here, Erdin Bayar, Bet Erdin of Mongolia, taking a look at his Hendon Mob. Not a stranger to poker for sure. Was a third place finisher at this very APT series, the No Limit Hold'em Turbo, placed third, cashing a prize of 85 million VND. In this same series, also placed fifth in the No Limit Hold'em / Pot Limit Hold Omaha single day high roller. Oh, wow, and another place, 12th place finish on the Sunday Super Stacks. Man's just been grinding APT Phu Quoc.
Out here grinding a full schedule.
And then a 30-second finish cash here as well. But I thought I mentioned that. So 4 cashes already. 4 cashes already in this series alone. Very, very impressive. Nakagiri Junichi of Japan, under the gun with 10-9 offsuit, 64 big blinds. Doubt we'll see him get into mix here. Fold, fold, fold it goes. Lun Yok Min, chip leading. And of course a Mongolian we were just talking about here, who's cashed many events during the series. Gonna open up here with Ace-5 offsuit. Ben Andrews of England. We did just have an Englishman win the main event here at the APT.
We did indeed.
Jacques of England, cashing himself a very tidy sum of 2.3 billion VND. 2.85 was the original prize pool set allotted for first place, but they did settle on an ICM chop.
Jack Ramsden. I believe he said to you in an interview that he hasn't been called Jacques since he was like 4 or 3 or 5.
That's, my sincere apologies for doing an entire day of commentary calling him Jacques.
Oh, I did the same. We were calling him by his middle name for like half.
Oh
the day.
yeah, first day we called him by his middle name. Second day we made progress and started calling him by his first name, but albeit in a French francophonic pronunciation. But I got it right at the end when he won, because before I interviewed him, I was like, "Listen, man, is it Jacques or Jack?" He's like, "It's Jack." And I was like, "Beautiful, wonderful, better late than never."
I don't think it's you that got it wrong, mate. He basically said that his friends gave up trying to call him Jacques, so they all just started calling him Jack.
Because it's spelled to Jacques. I know what Jack looks like. That's with a CK, but if it ends in a QUES.
His parents named him Jacques.
Yeah.
But his 4-year-old friends,
his friends that he's been.
his preschool buddies.
Oh wow.
Was sick and tired of trying to put on a French accent.
To clarify, friends he's been friends with since 4 years old, not his 4-year-old friends.
No, his friends when he was 5 at the time.
Yeah.
They were sick of trying to live up to the standards of the French people.
Sure.
In the UK, of all places, as you probably know, there's a bit of a rivalry between.
And you know what? I think
UK
even
France.
more suitable, being in Vietnam, having some history with some French colonization, that maybe it's more respectful to go by Jack than Jacques here.
There we go.
There we go. Wow, he's thought this out much better than we have.
Solved.
What's going on in the live chat on YouTube? Thank you so much
Pretty
for
quiet.
being here. If you are.
I kind of wish we could have just jumped straight into this from the main event and kept some of the crowd.
21 people hanging out here. Thank you for being here. If you are here, let us know where you are coming from. I'll start us off. Hi, everyone. What's your favorite hand? See the branding? Garrett goes all in is in the chat. It's still April 1st here. I have to keep it up. Only for 3 more hours.
It's good.
But in North America, they're waking up to it right now. So
you're gonna get a bunch of messages, I assume.
well, some people have already taken the bait. And they're like, Greg, no. Wow, love to see it. Under the gun open with ace-9 offsuit, and our Mongolian finding a 3-bet with queen deuce off. Love to see the unconventional play.
Some out of line. You know, it's the things that you just see at the Asian Poker Tour in general. We're saying on the final table with Vidor, you know, theory can just go out of the window at the drop of a hat, and you just stare down your opponent. And you're like, you know what?
And not necessarily bad play. Just
wait.
Ace of hearts.
Ace. Wait, what?
Maybe the ace of hearts is reading against the queen of spades right now. Or the deuce of hearts is reading. No, it makes more sense. The ace of hearts is reading as the deuce of hearts right now.
Can we just pretend that he had queen deuce?
Yes, I prefer that.
Thanks. Garrett goes all in the chat.
Hey Garrett, thanks for taking over the channel for me. Much appreciated. The pressures of being the world's #1 YouTube poker meme lord were getting to me, and I just needed an indefinite break here in Phu Quoc in Vietnam.
An indefinite break.
But yeah, to your point, definitely a lot of very aggressive exploitative play here. I noticed it first in Manila, where we got a big representation of local Filipino players taking less traditional lines, and it was inspiring to see how exploitative they're playing, and also because it's a smaller community of poker players, I believe they just had so much history with each other that they were obligated for the best of play to exploit each other. And that included making less theory optimal plays. And we're going to see a 3-bet here with 9 deuce offsuit. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Wu Junhan of Singapore opening on the cutoff. Could be opening wide. So why not 3-bet him with 9 deuce off? And it's gonna do the job.
Maybe Ken was born in 1992.
9 deuce is a great hand to get in blackjack.
That is true.
So we take a look at our chip counts here. Leung Nyok Mien on the home game advantage, 116 big blinds. No one comes close. Nakagiri, Junichi falling behind. And no super short stacks, or shortest stacks, sub 20 big blinds or so. So a lot of poker is still to be had here, folks.
Some people over on Facebook rooting for the Mongolian player. Sat there in seat 6. Bat Erdin Erdinbayer. What an amazing. I wish my name sounded that cool.
Henry Kilbane. That's pretty sick.
The name's Erdinbayer. Bat
Erdinbayer.
Erdinbayer. Ben Andrews, couple of hooks, 23 bigs. Under the gun. Pretty wild table so far.
I have found a Ben Andrews of England, London, England, on Hendon Mob. 43,000 total live earnings. Does look similar. Probably, likely him. has had numerous first place finishes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 first place finishes. More micro stakes tournaments hosted at mostly Genting Club in Birmingham, I see. Shout out to the Genting Club.
Big up the Genting Club. Wow, that takes me back to when I was a kid, man.
Did you used to gamble at the Genting Club as a child?
That's where I built my bankroll.
Nice.
Not as a child, though. Just to clarify and state for the record. That's where I used to play cash.
You take your weekly pocket money and head it straight to the Genting Club.
Literally, I'd take my week's salary and just try and spin the roll. And one day it worked.
Mm-hmm. Was this an open jam by Sir Ben Andrews?
No, it's open under the gun. Ngok Min Lei, 3-bet from the small blind.
Ah,
And then Ben jammed.
I see. Our shortest stack at the table with 104,000, Wu Junhao of Singapore. But if there's something that Singapore is very good at doing, it's doing a lot with little resources. Singapore, 0 natural resources. None.
Wait,
None.
what?
We had no natural resources. We have to get our water elsewhere, and, you know.
Wait,
but
why are you saying we?
Oh, I was born in Singapore.
Oh, were you actually?
I was born in the motherland, Singapore. My Chinese blood, born in Singapore, moved to Vancouver when I was 8 years old. But, Henry, I can never, ever go back to Singapore.
What, even for vacation?
Especially not for vacation.
Go on, why?
Because if I step into the airport in Singapore, I will get arrested.
Will you really?
I will really. Because I never did national service.
Oh.
If you're born male in Singapore, you are obligated to serve the army when you turn 18 years old. And when I was 18, I was busy singing and dancing in Canada. And I was like, yo, Singapore, is that cool if I'm singing and dancing in Canada for my theatrical training? And they're like,
yeah,
nope,
of course.
absolutely not.
That seems so...
Hey, listen, but that's what I'm saying. Small country, few resources. You got to leverage as much as you can. And that means making your boys go to the army. I respect it. Do what you got to do.
There's a lot to dig up here.
It's a lot to unpack, I know.
Right.
Well, I'll let you have 3 questions.
Who were you singing and dancing for at 18?
Sure. Myself. I was, as I told you, I had big Broadway dreams that I discovered when I was about 14, 15. So up until maybe 3-4 years ago, until I dropped into poker, I was training for the better half of a decade to be on Broadway. So I did.
Wait, how old are you now?
I'm 26. So I started training when I was 15. Started working at the local grocery store to subsidize my costs for dance and voice lessons and acting workshops. Did that post-secondary. I went to did 5 years, got an honors bachelor's in music theater performance. Worked, did some Netflix, did some regional theater. Was a kids TV show host. Pandemic, made YouTube memes.
So
I had to quit. I got fired from kids TV because I was making gambling memes.
Oh,
and
really?
now I'm here.
Because you were making poker content they weren't
It's
having.
not a good look, man. You're the face of a kids TV brand, and you're making memes about poker for degenerates online. Not a good look. But so ever since then, I've been working full time as Greg Goes All In, my alias, my moniker, my alter ego. Has been going great. Have not looked back whatsoever. But yes, I did train in music theater, ballet for 8 years.
All right, that was my first question. I'm afraid to ask the other 2 that I'm allowed to ask.
Yeah, go ahead. Open book, live on the internet.
All right.
With 30 people watching? See, if there was 21 people watching. I'll tell you anything.
Did
you know my
the
social
army
security
reach
number?
out to you?
They would reach out to my father, who was still living in Singapore. So they would send him the letters being like, hey, where's your son? He needs to go serve army.
They did it in
and
that
then
voice?
that's the Singaporean. That's that's the Singaporean accent. So I imagine my father read the text and said it in his head like that.
Okay.
To which he responded in his probably in text as well. But then when the Singaporean army read it, they probably read it as, I don't know where my son is. No idea. Ace King for Okada Can here. Hi, Jack.
Oh man, I gotta just say for my friends that I have that live in Singapore, I know you guys don't speak like that, but
They do speak like that? What are you talking about? You're obviously friends with all the foreigners, you know, the true Singaporeans. with the
actually
Singlish
now that
accent.
you've really now that you've really put it on, you sound like my friend Zach.
Yeah, lots of la, lots of lay, you know. Very easy.
That's Malaysian as well though.
Malaysia and Singapore are very similar la.
Yeah.
But it's really wonderful because like I generally speak with my very generic Canadian accent, which I had to assimilate very hard into because kids would used to make fun of my Singaporean accent as a child. But it's been great being back with the APT doing commentary and hosting because every time I meet a Malaysian or a Singaporean, I immediately default to default settings. You see, even just thinking about my fellow brethren, I do. I just default settings, like reset button.
The wheels have come off. He's been in the booth for too long. He's been in the sun for the last 9 days, and it's finally gone to his head, chat.
It's just a full like stream of consciousness at this point. Hey, Akshay Kapoor, if you tell anything, who would you pick as your co-commentator
Don't listen to
between
Akshay,
Henry or
he's just trying
Vidar?
to stir the pot.
Akshay, you cannot pick favorites. You cannot pick favorites. But in front of Henry Kilbane, of course Henry Kilbane.
In front of Vidar, of course.
Vidar single.
Vidor's very talented, man.
Yes. Power team.
What is going on at this table?
Debauchery is happening. We see a raise by Ben Andrews with Jack 8 offsuit, a 3-bet with Queen 6 suited from our short stack. Woo Jun Hao taking it down. Singapore, Singapore. I still remember the national anthem. Do you? Mari kita ya Singapura sa masa masa ruju bahagia. You don't have to stand, Henry. There's no flag. Oh, I guess there is when the graphic comes on.
I'm just thinking, like, if you go back and they try and arrest you, just start singing the national anthem.
Oh, I'm 100% sure I've butchered the lyrics. I know that the melody is correct. The lyrics have escaped me, and I had to make some up. Hey, 40 people watching in now. Well, this Singaporean sob story really picked up some traction.
Right?
Oh, yes, you do. It's like a genie. It's like you get 3 wishes, you get 3 questions.
All right, let me think about it.
If you're just tuning in, I've given Henry Kilbane the pass to ask me 3 questions about why I will get arrested if I ever go to Singapore. The answer is because I never did national service. But he's on his 3rd question, and here it is. Actually, he's decided to use the time to eat a dried mango, which is my cue to continue talking about the action. And speaking of which, King Jack suited on the hijack. King Jack on the hijack from a Mongolian player. Raises it to 2.5 big blinds. A fine raise. Raise size. And is going to get around the Mongolian, getting a lot of respect here. As it folds around and takes it down. And in a nutshell about that hand, not much happened. Woo Jun Hao in the first seat 1, Junichi seat 2. Oh, 3 Japanese players all sitting beside each other. 2, 3, 4. The solidarity, love to see it.
A lot of Japanese showing up to this APT Phu Quoc. All right, back to the natural resources.
Sure.
In Singapore.
Yes.
You have none.
We have very, very little. Do you know what our economy drives on? If you had to guess, what holds up the backbone of the economy of Singapore?
Tourism.
Tourism. Correct.
Wow.
Tourism. But no water. We have to get our water, I believe, from Malaysia. But we wanted to be a little bit more independent, so we came up with new water. Are you familiar with new water?
Sick. What's the difference?
New water is kind of a misnomer. It's not new. It's reused. But it's cleaner. Like the refinery process it goes through makes it actually technically cleaner. But enough about the water systems of Singapore. We've got a hand here. +1. Our Mongolian Erdin raising ace-jack. And our new player here in C3, Yamamoto Kazuo, picks up the queens here.
Chat, I'm as confused as you guys are.
Why?
See what Erdenbayer comes with on +1.
Just gonna make the what looks like a call. I'm still getting familiarized with the different chip denominations. I was just so used to the main event chips. But maybe you
Pinks are
can let me.
5Ks.
Pinks are 5Ks. Good to know.
I've figured that out so far.
3-bet pot here as flop comes. 10-4-6, all clubs. Both players with the flush draw. Yamamoto with the overpair and the better flush draw.
Oh, this could be a really fun one,
Could be a fun
depending
one.
on how aggressively Erdenbayer wants to pounce on this perceived weakness.
But
Love the check, by the way, from Yamamoto. Overpair with a club in hand.
really makes his check, balancing that into his checking range, defending his checking range, making it, having some strong hands in there, and boom, just the all-in, check raise all-in.
Check Rizzo.
Erdine,
Does he want to spin the wheel late in the evening? Does he want to preserve his 27 big blinds, maybe kicking himself for betting and not being able to realize his equity here?
his equity regardless still was pretty slim, 8%. Like a stick bug with a pencil, drawing very thin. No? Not that one?
It's so good, man. It takes a moment.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, I can't tell if it's these jokes are more like slow burn jokes or just they're just terrible puns.
Oh no, they're
That you
terrible.
like have to you kind of have to roll your eyes before you process them.
No, I mean the person telling them should be like a 50-year-old man with 3 kids and like a grandkid.
Oh
on the
yeah,
way.
I'm an old soul, you know.
Man of Straw.
Yeah, Henry Kilbane, it's you. You're so fire, Henry. Do you know who Man of Straw is?
A long-time viewer of poker in general. I mean, I've been doing commentary for, I want to say, like 3.5, 4 years now.
Right, and you just see him in every live chat.
Yeah, the Man of Straw name has popped up in live streams that I've covered all over the world. Always incredibly supportive and also always engaging in the chat. Do appreciate it, Man of Straw.
Well,
Asking what part of Asia this is. We are in Phu Quoc,
Phu Quoc,
Vietnam.
Vietnam. Beautiful island. We do only have 1 day left. Today is day 9 of 10. Tomorrow will be day 10. But you can still catch us in Taipei in just 3 weeks. April 28th is when we start our APT Taipei series, which is going to be the biggest series in APT history. Our main event has a 30 million Taiwan dollar guarantee. That works out to be 1 million USD. You're not going to want to miss it. So if you want to get all the dates and information, you can get them on the AsianPokerTour.com. And also, you can satellite in thanks to Natural 8 for as little as $3. But you will need to get that information soon, as that starts on April 2nd. That starts tomorrow. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. You've got satellites happening every Sunday for 3 Sundays starting tomorrow. So get all that information. Satellite into the 1,650 USD entry main event for just $3. Satellite events also at $30, $20, and $200. All the information on www.natural8.com as Singapore picks up pocket 8s. What are the greens? 25s?
No, the blues are 25s, the pinks are 5Ks, and the greens are 1Ks.
That makes sense. Wu Junhao raising to 8K here. 8K with 8s. Is that a tell? Probably not.
Probably is. I'd be reading into it.
Le Nyok Min here, our chip leader, in the white polo shirt with the accompanying white Ray-Ban looking glasses, sussing out Wu Junhao's stack. Does have 28 big blinds.
They do love a 3-bet in this part of the world with the offsuit ace-X.
26,000.
Right on cue.
3-bet from the small blind. Love to see it. I know there is some flatting that happens in the small blind, but generally you want to be raising or folding. Just because if you call, you're just in a real, you're incentivizing the big blind to call, so then you're oftentimes, if you're calling, just going multi-way out of position post, which is just a terrible spot to be in. So
Yeah.
just sometimes just fold. or 3-bet, which is the line that Leung Yok Min has taken here with ace-9 offsuit versus the pocket eights.
Yeah, in Southeast Asia, whenever there's a marginal spot to take the aggressive line, the randomizer and frequencies just go out the window. It's just always foot to the gas, 6th gear.
Ah, so that's where my tendency to overbluff comes from. It's in my blood.
They love it. They absolutely love it. They read how well the offsuit ace-X perform as 3-bet bluffs. But the frequencies go out the window.
26K. Also going to a flop in a 3-bet pot. 8s versus ace-9. As flop comes king 10 deuce. 2 diamonds. 8s are good. Does have 2 cards above his 8s. Board favoring Leung Yok Min's 3-bet range here. $60K in the pot. Looks like a bet of 20 or 25K. It's going to be 20K. 3rd pot bet.
Yeah, really difficult for Woo John to continue here. Even if he thinks Min Zata is just so difficult to get the 8s to showdown across multiple streets.
And just going to let it go. Not going to float here. Leung Yok Min taking it down with the worst hand and some aggression. No real short stacks, all running pretty comparable right now. 4 players sitting on 25, sub 25 big blinds. And top 3 sitting above 59, 60 big blinds.
I don't think Late Ridge has ended yet, Greg.
Has it not?
No, I've seen the numbers creeping up slowly.
I always assumed after level 10. But I guess not. Good to know. Talk to me, Henry. You usually do. Who is the UK guy, Andrew? That's Ben Andrews. Ben Andrews seems to be quite the crusher in his Genting Club Star.
Dude, that was like 10 years
Birmingham.
ago. No. Ben is, as far as I know, a bit of a cash game beast.
Nice. Trying his hand out at tournaments today at the APT because he has no choice. We don't have cash games. Okada Ken, 7-3 offsuit, hits the muck. Leung Yok Min, pocket 5s.
If I'm not mistaken, he also lives in Phuket.
Did I hear an all-in? I heard an all-in. Leung Yok Min
indeed.
just going to go all-in with the 5s versus the small blind and the big blind, both sitting on 25 big blinds. Just decided to put on max pressure. I'm going to take it down. Man of Straw, it's nice meeting you. I hear Henry tells me that you're quite the regular in these live streams. So happy to make your acquaintance. I am poker YouTube meme lord Greg Goes All In.
Have you thought about being a Twitch streamer before? Or just Twitch streaming like a couple of times a week?
I have not, because streaming was something like I do like weekly, but that was never the thing I was the most passionate about, though I think I can be fairly competent at it. But I think the other thing that drives me away from streaming is because Twitch is the main streaming platform and it is kind of dying, to be honest. It is dying. Like, all the respect to my fellow Twitch streaming content creators, but when it comes to streaming, YouTube has become quite the competitor versus Twitch. And personally, I don't like to invest in anything I don't quite understand or use. And using the Twitch platform myself, I just find the UI kind of inaccessible. So I just stick with memes on YouTube, short form content with the occasional stream here and there. You stream?
I respect the answer. I'm just, I think you'd be amazing at streaming.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate that.
Yeah, we used to stream with Overbet Express, had a company, and then Espen decided to just win the main event. So we stopped streaming.
Why? Wouldn't you want to continue streaming now that you have all that leverage and platform?
Well, we were only doing it for money.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
And Yeah, he won a decent amount of the so-called monies.
And we've got some
We got something going on, yeah.
connectivity here with Okada Ken having an open-ended draw.
Wow.
Lunyok Min, our aggressive large stack here with middle pair. Gonna let go of the best hand. Wu Junhao.
Wow, that is incredibly tight. Just folding to a C-bet.
Multi-way as well. This is more consideration for folding tight, I would say, as well. Yeah, I think that's one of the things as well that it's so hard to study. Like, you know, we talk about theory, but a lot of this theory and game theory optimal plays we get into and the solvers only really account for heads up, which I find is not very useful, especially in live low stakes, because you're just going 9 ways to a flop every flop.
Yeah, it's just like live poker in Asia. That's why we keep growing, because it reminds people of the good old days where there is a lot of street poker going on here, and there is a lot of multi-way action as well. What are you playing at the moment?
What am I playing?
Yeah.
Like stake-wise?
Just like games. You don't necessarily have to say
Sure.
stakes. Like cash
Halo
games.
4.
Okay, Halo 4. So
I got an Xbox recently because I just have this really bad habit of making all of my hobbies my career. So singing, acting, dancing, and then poker, content creation. I just wanted something for myself, so I got an Xbox. But first, we got pocket pair on pocket pair violence here. Pocket 5s on the hijack by our chip leader. Gets 3-bet by the queens. Our Mongolian, very decorated player has cashed in multiple events in this series alone. Ben Andrews getting on the way with queen 10 of hearts, disciplined fold.
sizable 3-bet from the Mongolian. See if the local player fights back.
Oh yeah, it was a 8K rate.
North of 3x.
Yeah. North of 3x.
Cut-off fee hijack. Especially at this stack depth as well, like you get to leverage this stack depth a lot more with smaller 3-bet sizes. Especially with a hand as strong as queens, like from an exploit point of view. Does pick up a customer though, so what the hell do I know?
Yeah, 5s at this stack depth. Making the call. No one liking this flop. Always feels like it. Every time you have queens, there's always a king or ace on the flop. Lil Nyok Min now. Likely gonna check and flow to our pre-flop aggressor, but yet again, what do I know? Oh look, I know something. Checks over to our Mongolian player in the Lacoste shirt. Makes a bet here of 35,000. Little more than half pot bet. If committing more than half his a little shy of half a stack, gets a fold, takes it down with the best hand. Nice hand to Erdinbjar Bat Erdin of Mongolia. 49 players left out of a field of 101. Average big blind is 52 big blinds. So fairly deep. That's the highlight of the APT. Something that we are very proud of is that a lot of our flagship events have really awesome, solid structures. And by that I mean 40-minute structures, 1-hour-long structures, just so that you're not just playing bingo and getting down to like 10 big blinds within an hour and a half and just kind of having to shove with any ace you see. With this lower structure, with these deeper stacks, you can play much more poker. Queens are hot on this table.
It's been the theme of the series so far. It's just feels like every hand we have top of range being dealt to at least one player.
Ben Andrews, ace-3 of diamonds on the cutoff here, playing
So disciplined.
very snug, super disciplined. Love to see the purple Ray-Ban-esque glasses.
Matches the Aston Villa sweater.
Matches the felt. Gonna get defended here by Jack 10, the big blind. As flop comes 6-6-4. On this board, favoring. Oh, I see. Check, standard C bet, fold. Shows the ladies. Ta-da! Nice hand. 1.25 billion right now. Uncertain if late reg has been finished, but right now 1.25 billion to first. Whoever wins this and gets the coveted APT High Rollers trophy is going to take that trophy with alongside 1.25 billion VND, which is
Go on, do the math.
53,000 USD. A nice chunk of change here.
Nice chunk of change to wrap up the series, especially people that have kind of gone over throughout the series to finish it up with a strong performance in the two-day high roller. 2,300 USD buy-in.
Wu Junhao. Wu Junhao, very likely, has served the army.
Every time you put on the accent, man, it just...
I wasn't even thinking about it. It just come out. Like, like water flowing down a river.
Oh.
I have an accent.
Sure.
I have an accent. I have an accent.
It's brilliant.
I'm Henry Kilbane, and welcome to the APT.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
It feels like, you know, given the way you carry yourself and I don't know, you've just been too westernized. How did
I do have the moniker as being the whitest guy in my friend group.
Yeah, you come across as
And there's
like
a few white guys in my friend group.
incredibly white.
Yeah.
I feel like you're the whitest guy
assimilating
that
to
I know.
colonization, what can you do?
Oh, I can't. It's got to that stage of the series.
Day 9 out of 10. After doing commentary for the main 9 dice straight of work. Hey, you only got here like 3 days ago. 2 days ago? 4
5
days?
days
5
ago.
days ago?
5 days
Wow,
ago.
time flies when we're having fun, huh, Henry?
It does. Fired 5 bullets into some of the smaller events. Bricked all of them.
Same. That's why we do commentary. Okada Ken with Ace King, blind versus blind. Picks up Big Slick. And our chip leader looks like he's gonna defend. Big Slick versus Queen 8. Will Big Slick slick big on this flop of Ace 3-3? Not today. Top pair, 2 pair, top kicker. Queen high for Lo Nyok Min. C-bet 10K into 32K, third pot bet. Trying to get calls from worse ace X's, flush draws, king or queen high floats. Gets the call from the queen high. As the turn brings the 10 of hearts.
Blind v blind violence. Surely the Queen 8 not going to continue to further aggression.
Continuing now, 25K into 52K. And a fold.
Get out of there. So 100K starting stack. Currently 101 entries with late reg still open. Average stack in the tournament just north of 200,000 chips. 52 big blind average.
Again, folks, you're watching day 1 of the High Roller here at APT Phu Quoc. Commentary brought to you by yours truly, Greg Goes All In, and my esteemed colleague Henry Kilbane.
You had the pleasure of doing commentary yesterday with Elke.
Yes, yes, I did.
How was that experience?
It was wild, man. Love the guy. Just first of all, so generous of him to lend his time to do content with us and come into the commentary booth to do and volunteer his time to do commentary. It's also just really exciting for us to see that the APT is now getting kind of picked up on the radar by not just recreational players, but also by the likes of someone like Elke, It was nuts seeing. I didn't realize. I know he was like he's an ambassador of GG, but on top of, I didn't realize how far-reaching his influence was. He was playing the main event. Break happened. He stood up, and Mans got immediately swarmed by people. And I was like, okay, sure, to be expected. But there was a guy who swarmed, like part of that swarm, who had a pair of Converse on. And had Elky's face on it. More about that later, as I see Lil Nyok Min, our chip leader, on home turf, picking up King Kong, the Cowboys, the Kings, versus an under-the-gun raise from a short stack from one of our less active players who's been playing fairly tight.
Yeah, just
what
opted
a
to
dream.
flat.
Did he flat?
Yeah, opens the door for Erdenbayer to defend his big. We're going to go 3 ways to a flop.
Oh my goodness.
How?
Goodbye, Ben Andrews.
King, 10, deuce, rainbow. Ben has somehow found the case king high flop, giving the local Vietnamese player top set, as
And he's
Greg
just
alluded
thinking
to.
he's going to have the best King X here so often because Ace King is going to 3-bet pre. No one's ever going to have aces. No one's ever going to have kings. And what a surprise. The Case King on the flop. Why is the APT so sick? The APT dealers here are so sick.
we need a camera on you at all times.
Why? My facial expressions?
Yeah, the chat need to see the facial expressions whilst you're doing commentary.
I say just get a green screen behind me. We'll key it live and just put me in a corner. Oh, make it full body.
Oh, Ben,
Boat.
drawing dead.
But might save Ben Andrews, as a lot of people are going to call behind with 10Xs.
Let's go check.
Exercise pot control and discipline as
Oh,
oh.
no. It's come running
Oh
tens.
my goodness. Well, that's in Ben Andrews' mind. That's going to reduce the amount of combinations of 10Xs that Lun Nyok Min is going to have. So he's thinking he's effectively has the nuts, because Lun Nyok Min will never have kings here because he flatted pre. So Ben Andrews kind of celebrating here, thinking effectively that he has the nuts. Lil Nyok Min thinking about how he's going to get value, because he's thinking he has 2 of the kings. It's going to be very unlikely that Ben Andrews is going to have a king, but he's going to try to get value from like pocket queens, jacks, nines, aces.
Wow.
Bet and a snap call, and see the shock on the disbelief.
That's so grim. What a grim run out.
Lesson learned. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, if there's ever a world where he gets away from it, it's going to be on the turn, right? But when it comes, third 10 rolls off.
Impossible.
Great bet from the local Vietnamese player, by the way, just really polarizing his range there.
And results-wise, great flat with kings pre-flop. Though I expect, yeah, because if you had 3-bet pre, king jack off might have folded.
Yeah, 100%.
Lesson learned. Flat with kings.
Rip. Rip Ben Andrews. GG's.
GG Ben Andrews. Thank you for playing on our feature table. It's great having you, doing commentary for you.
Nothing you can do with top boat. Or second top boat, I should say. Or third top boat, I do apologize. Now go on, you were talking about Elky.
Oh, yes.
I think that Elky is the biggest poker ambassador outside of America other than Daniel Negreanu in 2023. Like, he's huge in this part of the world, man.
Yeah,
Like,
and
everyone knows who Elky is.
I think a lot, and correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like it has a lot to do in part to his StarCraft following initially that bled into poker, which is how he has so much of an influence in Asia.
Yeah.
Or am I wrong, or most of his Asian influence coming from poker? Probably both.
I think it's both. I mean, he's been in poker for so long now. You'd think a lot of the StarCraft audience would have kind of fizzled out.
And I think he's also just a really good ambassador, just because when I met him, he seemed so fun-driven. He seemed so fun-focused. He was he kind of identified that, you know, what is good for the game and what isn't good in the game. And so, you know, he's the kind of person who, yes, poker is his livelihood, but he also highly values in making the game fun. And you can tell just by the way he dresses. He dresses very colorfully. He's always rocking his iconic aviator sunglasses. Took a liking to my all-in sunglasses for a while. I only brought 2 to Vietnam. One I gave to a gentleman that I stacked my first day here out of as a condolence prize, which he then wore and ran deep into the main event, final table.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bert, Aussie.
But Perry.
And then the other pair, I was hoping to keep for myself for the remainder of this event. But after we finished commentary, Elke looked over at me and he was like, "I like your sunglasses. Can I have them?" I said, "Of course." Because when Elke asks you for your glasses, you give him your glasses.
I mean, when he says it in that voice, it sounds like he was trying to seduce you, Greg.
And I did. He seduced me into giving him my pair of all-in glasses. I went all in. How could I not? It was Elke. And another fun moment we had, Elke, of course, great ambassador, but you know, commentary in itself is comes with his own skill set, and you have to be familiar with certain procedure and protocol. And so, as a result, Elke did interrupt me a few times yesterday, to the point where it was noticeable to the chat. Someone chatted in the live chat, "Elke keeps interrupting Greg," to which I took my phone aside and covertly wrote, "It's fine, it's Elke, he's allowed to." If Elke wants your glasses, you give it to him. If he wants to interrupt your sentence while you're doing commentary, you let him. And you feel privileged to do so.
Well, interrupted you because he was like catching up with the table, or?
Oh no, just you know, like I would start. You know, sometimes we step over each other. It happens. Someone has a train of thought, but then that someone else has a quick train of thought. Man's train had no brakes.
Oh yeah.
0 brakes. My train would be going one direction. Head-on collision, and it was totally fine. I was like, yeah, let's talk about that. Overall, it was great meeting Elke. To answer your question, I would do it again. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, he is
Nice to be on the same GG team with him.
a great ambassador of the game. In Triton, he told me, because we held the GG Super Millions Live Edition, and I said to him when the final table was brought out, I was like, "Look, why are you not up there doing the Elke dance for the final table?" And he told me that he's promised that he's getting dance lessons, and that for the next Millions Live Edition, he's going to perform the dance before the final table is introduced.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Well, he did break out some moves at the APT Players Party yesterday. Good food, DJ. It was a great time. That's another thing with the APT folks, is that we like to take care of players. You know, you're spending money to be here. We want to provide value for you, and part of that is that we hold a players party at every series. Free-flowing beer, good entertainment, and music. It was a good time. It was held outside here, just outside the poker room, in this like kind of outdoor pagoda of an area. Am I using the word pagoda correctly?
Pagoda.
Pagoda.
I thought you said hagoda.
Pagoda, an architectural style. No, it was not a pagoda. It was not a pagoda. It was but it was nice. It was comparable to a pagoda.
I mean, well played for even knowing the word pagoda.
Thank you. Lin Yuk Min, our superstar here at this table on the home turf, home game advantage, representing Vietnam. Ace King versus 6-5. And he's going to hit 2-pair top kicker. Okada Ken sitting on peanuts, drawing to a miracle. Check. C-bet. Fold. 47 players now left remaining. As you take a look at the chip distribution here, Wu Junhao of Singapore are short stack, but still very much alive with 17 big blinds.
Yeah, it would have surprised me if that number creeps up as we head towards the end of late reg. Might be a record about to be broken, given that we're already at the 101 mark. Believe the record for a high roller is 105. Or was that a single day high roller? Maybe that was a single day high roller.
I am not too sure. I'll be on that boat with you. I'm not too sure. But what I do know is that someone remaining here is going to be walking away with 1.2 billion VND. A billionaire. Works out to be about 50K USD. Wu Junhao, Singapore. From my motherland. I was born in Singapore. Chinese blood, moved to Vancouver, Canada when I was 8 years old. Representing my motherland. Great to see the representation. Man, I miss Singaporean food. I would kill for a nasi lemak.
Hey, they got really cheap flights from Phu Quoc.
You know what's not? You know
what's
what's
this side of the world?
I'm sure it's cheap.
You should just hop on over.
But getting in prison for 2 years, it takes a real big toll on your life. I imagine.
Could you not call them up and say, "Hey, I'm really sorry"?
Oh, you're so right. I haven't thought about that.
And then just show them everything that you've achieved.
I'll just be like, "Do you know who I am?" Just kidding. They hate gambling there. Prime Minister of Singapore. Who's still? Lee Hsien Loong still in charge. Yeah, I'll just call him up and beg for forgiveness. He'll understand. Listen, man, I had to pursue a theater career in Canada. You get it.
Why Vancouver?
We had some family out there. My mother's sister was out there, so my aunt's family moved out earlier, and my older sister was kind of struggling in the Singaporean education system because she was savant level bright. Like, think young Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. And so, but why would a savant level genius be struggling in an education system? Because she was too good for it. Every class, you know, she'd be, every other class or every other day she'd be in the principal's office because she would have corrected another teacher for something they said wrong in class. And so there were just much more resources for us in Canada.
What is she now, like a brain surgeon or an astronaut?
No, she's a software developer. She makes games, online games.
Brain surgeon slash astronaut.
No, just similarly to me. So she's still also, despite being very bright, also very much on the creative side. So she does a lot of game developing and software developing and coding.
That sounds sick, man.
Yeah. Happy for her.
10 high flush draw for the Mongolian. Yamamoto got to fire out a c-bet after opening from the hijack. Ace high board may slow Erdem down a little bit. See a few flush draw textures that he could opt to check raise, but the ace high one typically not one of them. Has his opponent dead on the turn, turning the 10 high flush.
Straight flush, just for the heck of it. 7 of hearts, please.
Does pair the board. That is a big bet.
Trying to charge maybe some ace X's with bad kickers that may check back. But just gonna get a quick fold here. Jake Austin asks, is this the Philippines or Vietnam? This is Vietnam. Phu Quoc, to be exact, a beautiful island on the west coast of Vietnam. Well known for its sandy beaches. Pristine sand and beaches. I've had the opportunity to scour out myself out there. Rented a little motorbike, went for a ride, and lived up to the brief Wikipedia Google search I did about Phu Quoc. Beautiful beaches. Thanks again for being one of the 35 people here in our YouTube live chat watching. If you're enjoying the kind of content that Henry Kilbane and I are bringing you, please hit that like button and the subscribe button. And here's the secret sauce, the notification bell. Because not a lot of people press it. But if you do, you got to keep up to date with all of the updates that Asian Poker Tour puts out. Because if you don't click it, YouTube kind of just decides what it wants to show you. But if you click all notifications, you'll be shown everything that happens here with the Asian Poker Tour. Whether it be new content or live streams or community posts, we're here for you. Additionally, if you like and subscribe, it's not just a like and subscribe. You're also helping us with our mission statement of growing the game of poker in Asia. And I think that is a worthwhile goal and a good goal, objectively good goal to have. I'm going to see some action here. Button versus big blind single raise pot. King 8 suited versus ace queen. Was it truly a single raise pot, I wonder? Yeah, seems like it. Just 24K in the pot.
Yeah, Junichi, the pre-flop slow play, it's worked out perfectly for him. Maybe just recognizing that he's up against the incredibly aggressive Erden Bayer.
Goes with the exploitative flat pre. It is paying off here. Seems to be the theme of the table today. We saw kings get flatted pre and get rewarded. Turn brings in the front door flush. 9 of hearts here. Nakagiri, Junichi may be regretting the slow play, but as we can see, has the check mark. And what a sick read that Junichi has here. Yeah. Knowing that he's got a very aggressive player ahead of him. And the Mongolian is taking the bait. Bet 17K into 42K.
Yeah, this really is the part of the world where theory just takes a back seat. Really have to make some massive exploitative adjustments depending on the player type. I mean, how about even this? This is wild, you know, the check raise on the flush completing turn with ace queen o.
Sick read, knowing that, confident that he's good here. That is sick. That is really sick. You know, I subscribe to GTO as well, you know, Henry. Greg Theory Optimal.
Greg Theory Optimal. What does that think of the King 8?
I would prefer doing that with 7 deuce, but I will accept it. If you want to learn more about Greg Theory Optimal, please feel free to join my training site, Downswing Poker. No, I'm kidding. That doesn't exist. April Fools, got you again. We should have done an April Fool's piece of content. I don't know why I didn't think of it.
Should have.
What are you searching up there?
This.
Why is Lysian Long on you?
This Prime Minister of yours has been in the office since 2004, so I kind of feel like he's not a Prime Minister.
No, that's the thing about Singaporean politics. It's, see, these are things I can't say in Singapore, but I think if I'm outside, it's okay. My impression, my understanding, is that Singapore is a democratic country. It's just that the party that's in control has been in control since the inception of Singapore, and they do a really good job. You know, they have a lot of procure a lot of financial security and safety for their citizens. Good economy, obviously. I just feel like it's a conflict of interest if you also get to control the media. But it's a democratic country.
His salary's 1.7 USD a year. I mean, what is going on?
1.7 million USD a year?
Yeah. That's crazy. Do you know how much the president? Do you know how much the president of the United States get paid? That is wild.
Hey,
man.
listen, Singapore, rich, all right. We've got an action flop here.
Rich.
Nakagiri Junichi is ahead here with the 8. Leung Yok Min has the world, though, with the 2 overs and the open-ended straight draw. Nakagiri, not going to love to see the 2 overcards to his 8s. Is going to make the call here, and the right call it will be. Just needs to fade the queen or a jack or a king, does so. But not going to be able to withstand too much aggression with the 2 overcards. Checks it again. Leung Yok Min, our superstar here at this table, representing Vietnam, our chip leader with a whopping 134 big blinds.
Over 5 starting stacks, Greg. That's 5 people's hopes and dreams
That he's devoured.
That man has single-handedly destroyed.
Oh. Decides on a check back on the turn. as Junichi's 8s get the check mark. 9s and 8s. 10 kicker. 40K in the pot. Le Nyok Min sitting on a busted straight draw. Busted.
So I believe we are going on break at the conclusion of this hand. Will be a short one. Greg and I will come back for 20 or 30 minutes or so, and then Vidor will be jumping in to relieve Greg of his duties and
Is he?
send you off into the sun. Well,
Into the
actually,
night?
I was about to say the sunset into the night.
I'll leave at sunrise. But Lee Nyok Min decides not to take the bluff here. But we're going on a break now. On behalf of my colleague, I've been Greg Goes All In. This is Henry Kilbane. You're watching day one of the APT High Roller. And when we come back, we're going to play down to the end of level 15. You won't want to go anywhere. We'll see you soon.
Time to get the cards in the air, shuffle up and deal.
Hey, I'm Ray Chu, Marketing Manager of the APT. Welcome to Taipei. I'm thrilled to tell you all about our upcoming series here in this amazing city from April 28th to May 7th. There are so many reasons to join this series. The new venue, Asia Poker Arena, is being built from the ground up and at 55 tables is the largest permanent poker room in Asia to provide the best player experience that APT has to offer. And the main event guarantee is set at 30 million Taiwan dollars. And it's not just about the poker. Taipei is a wonderful city with so much to offer. From the building that stands at 508 meters high, the Taipei 101, to the magnificent temples all around the city, to the gorgeous sunset at Danshui Bridge, to the delicious food at the night markets, and the incredible experience of releasing a sky lantern at Shifen. There's something for everyone. APT Taipei like you have never seen before. And go. And of course, the Asian Poker Tour has an amazing community of poker players. We're excited to welcome you to experience the new era of APT up close and personal. And like we always say, it won't be the same without you.
The APT Taipei main event has a guarantee of 30 million Taiwan dollars. A seat is $1,650 US, but thanks to Natural 8, you can get yours for just $3. Let me tell you how. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday! Natural 8 has 3 satellite events, one on each Sunday, starting on Sunday, April 2nd. And the guarantees are extremely plus EV. It's a very good deal, you know. It's the best deal. Hey, I give you best price. Sunday, April 2nd, $30 satellite, 10 seats guaranteed. Sunday, April 9th, $200 satellite, 15 seats guaranteed. And Sunday, April 16th, $200 satellite, another 15 seats guaranteed. What an incredible deal. But if you are on an even tighter budget, it's not a problem. Each of these satellites I just mentioned have step satellites starting at $3. And if that's not good enough, there's more! For those who aren't quite ready to go all in on their travel plans for Taipei, boy, do we have a deal for you, because for the first time ever, you can now qualify into the day 3 of the main event live in Taipei by playing the online day 1s of the main event on Natural 8 from the comfort of your own home. Step 1. Download the Natural 8 app and play any online main event day 1 flight. Step 2. Survive the bubble on day 1. And lastly, step 3. Jump straight into day 3 of the live APT main event in Taipei. And if somehow you still can't make it, you're guaranteed a min cash. But don't just take my word for it. You can learn all about these incredibly plus EV satellites and online day 1s at www.natural8.com. I'll see you in Taipei.
So the Swiss player, Yves Thalmann, kicking things off with a raise from the cutoff, does have the goods. Opening off of a very shallow stack, sub 15. Quoc to Pham, 1 seat over. Looks like he's reaching for raising chips. Wants to try and apply pressure to the shorter stack deep in the APT Hanoi main event. We are down to the final few tables. Really abusing his position on Ives. Still got kings, Ives, and they are good. 4-1 favorite to double up here. And the crazy thing is that I feel like Quoc has kind of priced himself in a little bit here, as Ives does announce himself. Local Vietnamese player gonna ask for a count. Only has to call an additional 225k. There's 740 in the middle. Just has to hope that he's up against a hand like ace king, ace queen, some suited broadways. You can obviously see he's in really rough shape as he does make the call. So cards on their backs. He gets shown the kings, the tables, the deuces. 5 to come. Deuce in the window. Daily quads for the local Vietnamese player. Has Ives drawing 2, running kings only, as the queen of diamonds leaves him dead on the turn. So death by quads deep in the APT Hanoi main event. Yves Thalmann did nothing wrong. Got his final 15 bigs in with the kings, but flopped quads for the local Vietnamese hero. So Nguyen Doi An on the button with ace 7-0. Started things off around 50 big blinds effective deep into the APT Hanoi main event. Tournament chip leader, Gurman Bukharov. Good to defend from the big blind. Does have the local Vietnamese player covered. 175k in the middle. And well, how about that for a flop? Ace, queen, jack, 2 spades. Gurman Bukharov has flopped Broadway. More importantly, a very aggressive Nguyen Doi An has flopped top pair on a board texture that could really get spicy. It's going to continue. Just shy of third pot, 60k into 175. Question is, does Gurman Bukharov want to apply the pressure right here, right now? He is reaching for raising chips. Looks like 185,000. just north of 3x. Really interesting spot for Win. Obviously, bottom v big blind. Going to have wider ranges than normal. He knows that German's good enough to have gut shots. Have hands like Queen 10, King 7 of spades. Any suited King X, basically. Any suited 10x. 4 diamonds on the turn. Disastrous turn card for Win. He's going to have the best hand a lot of the time. It's a real setup deep into the main event here. German setting up a very natural river SPR of around 0.6.
Time to get the cards in the air, shuffle up and deal.
Hello and welcome back from the break. If you had this live stream on in the background, well, tune back in. We're here. Commentary brought to you live by yours truly, Poker Meme Lord Greg Goes All In, and of course my esteemed colleague Henry Kilbane. Henry, how was your break?
It was uneventful.
Yeah, it was only like 7-minute break really for us. Enough time to grab a water, go to the bathroom.
Yeah, but no, clock is back up and running. Final 3 levels of the day. Vidor is on the way in 30 minutes time. He's going to jump in. You're going to jump out.
Yes, such sweet sorrow. Uneventful break, but that's fine because it has been a very eventful featured table so far. I've already seen a couple of bust outs, and those seats were quickly replaced by new blood, new chips. And we're going to see some more action as we get back right into it. Blind versus blind. Japan versus Japan. Domination Nation as we see Queen 8 versus 8-7 as flop brings Queen 10-7. All hearts. Neither player holding a heart. The best hand pre is the best hand post currently. Both players with a pair. Let us go from there.
APT Phu Quoc 2-day high roller. A lot of Japanese players in the main event. 2 of them reached the final table of the main, actually. A strong showing here in this high roller. Late reg now closed.
Jack peeling off, giving both players a gut shot.
Chop out.
So Okado actually picks up more outs here. Some outs for a chop as the River of Dreams brings a 10, pairing the board. Queens and 10s. Jack kicker is going to be better than 10s and 7s queen kicker. Yamamoto electing for a check. A check back. Showdown. Sad news. As this pot goes to Kazuo Yamamoto. Very sharply dressed man. Love that blazer. Where can I get it?
If I had to guess, I'd say Coach.
He was wearing a Coach shirt underneath too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Ah. Wu Junhao, our short stack with 70k in chips. Coming back from a break, the blinds have gone up. Yu Junhao there, top left, earrings, black sweater. Representing my motherland. I was born in Singapore, fun fact. However, I did grow up in Canada, which is why I
Don't send me down
sound.
that rabbit hole again.
Why not? You don't want to talk about Lee Hsien Loong making 2.2 million a year, Singaporean?
It's unbelievable.
Hey man, it's a wealthy country, you know. Might as well reap some of the rewards, you know. 2.2 mil. Dang. Sounds like a tough job as well.
It's the highest paid Prime Minister in the world, bro.
It's highest is him?
In the world. By like an insane margin as well.
Oh, wow, that's a huge. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge margin. Joe Biden, the president of America, is third, but he makes 400k USD. So that margin between first and third is massive.
Yeah, but that's an absolute scam because Joe should be getting paid about $10 a year.
Back to poker. Here we are, blind versus blind.
APT Phu Quoc 2-day high roller. Incredibly diverse field, which has brought on an incredibly diverse commentary team, which has led to political conversations that could get us in some murky waters.
We'll leave that for the Overbet Express podcast that is no longer active.
It's no longer active. In fact, I'm actually removing it from Spotify and Google
You know what?
Play.
I'll bring you on to my podcast that I will produce called Greg Goes All Out, where I just go all out and we just talk about whatever you want.
That'd be cool. Yeah, something that's not just focused on poker would be fun.
Actually, that's actually a really good idea. Greg Goes All Out.
Yeah. I thought
that would be
you
a
were
great
legit,
talk.
like
No, I just...
the moment you said it, I was like, that's a really good idea.
I was trying to think for a long time of a good pun for my podcast or something. It'd be like Greg Goes All Pod. I'm like, that sounds terrible.
Wow.
I have a really good one for my interview series. Is Greg Goes All Interviews. Or whenever I work with a certain something, I work with any businesses or brands, and I send them an invoice. You know what I send them?
What?
A Greg Goes All invoice. But Greg Goes All Out? That's great. That's a great idea. It's just an angry rant podcast where I just talk about the childish Twitter wars that happen.
Oh, dude.
It's mind numbing. Like it's just rich people going, I have more money. No, I have more money. I fight you heads up. I fight you heads up.
I deleted Twitter from my phone and Instagram from my phone like 3 weeks ago prior to coming to this trip.
And how is your mental health?
Oh. Well, so good that I now call it mental fitness, not mental health. Yeah, I love it.
Henry Cobain has transcended past just having mental health.
Yeah,
man's on mental fitness. Man's taking steroids for his brain.
Poker Twitter.
No, he's natty.
It's brutal.
Yeah,
Man, Lee, just gonna put Kettle in. Big blind V button for 20 effective. Go on, Greg. I cut you off, mate.
Oh no, I've lost my train of thought. But like, yeah, for with a half mil stack, what are you scared of here? Just put it all in. Put on the pressure, taking it down. But yeah, it's just, I only have like Twitter, simply because like I have to do some social media stuff for the brands. But I keep that app on my work phone. But it's honestly mind-numbing to see. It's just adults fighting. It's adults fighting about who has more money and who's better at a card game. So much so that they get so heated about it and like actually want to get into physical altercations with each other. It's childish. It actually pisses me off. Like, I know it's good for the game in the sense that it brings publicity to the game, but is that the kind of image and that we want to be? Is that the kind of image we want to have? do we so want to be so far removed from the idea of like, poker being a game that can be played by everybody, and it more so becoming a reality TV show? I don't know. I don't really know what the answer is, if that's better or worse for the game. It just personally just doesn't sit the best with me. As you pull up Twitter right now.
Yeah.
From one of my favorite tweeters. I'm gonna go focus on this hat for a second. Pocket Tens by night. Honestly, I can't stand him. He makes me. It hurts.
It's painful.
Oh, we talked about this earlier. Yeah, over lunch. Anyway, Nakagiri Pocket Tens gonna raise it up here in +1, and everyone's gonna fold. And to recap that hand in a nutshell, not much happened. As we take a look at our chip counts here, Leung Yok Min, as usual, crushing the table by a large margin. Our Japanese players also in the top 3, and everyone else kind of on middling, very short stacks. The chip disparity here very wide.
Yeah, right. See, after just 2 minutes, it's just too much. Just delete Twitter.
I'm so sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah.
Live on the show. It's dang.
Indeed.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because when I first started, I was so far removed from the poker scene, and even now, as though I do have more influence, and I'm inevitably, no matter our different views, anyone who's in the poker world is my colleague. It's something I've had to learn. But it's still hard to see your colleagues behaving like that sometimes.
Yeah, you don't have to like your colleagues or agree with their views or their behavior.
Oh, good, because I hate you, Henry Kilbane. No, I'm kidding.
That's fine.
I'm kidding. We've got good banter. You're a professional. You're obviously excellent at what you do. It's been a great privilege to do some commentary with you finally.
Tomorrow morning's newspaper headline going to read, and Greg Goes All In has been kidnapped from Phu Quoc Island. How about that for a flop chat? Queen 6-5, 2 diamonds, open-ender, a flush draw for Ngok.
Both players thinking they've smashed this flop. A diamond would just be fireworks. Wu Junhao does only have 11 big blinds. Gonna be close to committed to this pot, perhaps.
Oh, he's not going anywhere. And he's going to see just how good shape he's in. 79% equity with 2 cards to come.
Usually pair and flush draw, it's going to be pretty good. Open-ender and flush draw also going to be very good. And the all-in and the quick call as they see how their hands just interact here on this board. Wu Junhao ahead here with the pair of 5s and the higher baby flush draw. Leung Yok Min drawing to his open-ended straight draws. He needs a 7 or a deuce, a non-diamond 7 or a deuce.
Let's go for the prepay. The prepay run good.
Wu Junhao's tournament life at risk here, but is the favorite, 4-1 favorite. I gotta get me one of those all-in buttons.
We can snag you one, mate. Oh, now some chop outs. No dice as the Jack of Hearts completes the run out.
As Leung Yok Min's chips head into the direction of our short stack, Wu Junhao of Singapore finding the nice double here. But Leung Yok Min's chip stack remaining still very formidable, still maintaining the chip lead here if I'm not wrong. Yep, I'm correct. Leung Yok Min, 484K, can barely notice the dent in his stack as he continues to be the table captain here. Look at me. Look at me, Henry. Look at me. Look at me.
I can't
look at me.
No, I can't look at you.
I am the table captain now. He didn't look at me.
I can't, because I know I'm already laughing as it is. Like,
oh yes.
if I make eye contact, it's GG.
Yeah, this stream's over. And Bitter will just come here and we're just both on the ground, cry laughing.
That's a great movie. I haven't watched that in a long time. I feel like I haven't watched anything new that has really just grabbed me in recent years. I'm not sure about you. Have any movies over the last 5 years or so that have come out that have really caught your attention?
Cats the musical?
fantastic. Oh, the Joker, I guess.
Oh, Joker was cool. Yeah, definitely a worthwhile watch. What else have I seen lately? Yeah, nothing too exciting in Hollywood. I'm finding. Oh, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Of course, of course. I got to see that on an airplane with one working earbud, and it was still a fantastic experience.
Everything, Everywhere.
All at Once. Won many Academy Awards. Star-studded. Won a lot of Best Actor, Actress Awards. Yeah, and it was honestly just my line of humor. Just like I love absurdist kind of art. Queen 3. Board is drier than my dry spell in college, as both players kind of whiff here. But Tron Van, new addition to our table here, also representing the motherland, the home turf, Vietnam. Gonna make a C-bet, and Wu Junhao, having just gotten the double, not gonna get out of line here with 8 high, backdoor, flush draws. As we take a look at our chip counts again, Leung Yuk Min, nothing's changed, still our chip leader. Tron Van just joined our table, 26 big blinds, middle of the pack. And it looks like after Wu Junhao's double up, it looks like our Mongolian Erdine in the furthest right on the table, seat 7, I believe, is our shortest stack, but still not bad being our shortest stack with 18 big blinds. Still got some deeper poker to play, and we love to see it. Love to see 3 full streets of action, not just bingo where everyone just shoves all in with any ace they find. But we also have those. We have turbos and super turbos at the APT, so there's a little mix for everything for everyone. And if you don't want to miss the APT and our biggest, especially not our biggest event in APT history, APT Taipei, happening on April 28th, starting April 28th, obviously in Taipei. It's going to be a great time. There's a $1 million guarantee for the main event, and to give you kind of give you a good idea of how massive that is. Our main event here in Phu Quoc had a prize pool of 600,000 with 500 entries, and we didn't even get anywhere close to $1 million USD. And we're guaranteeing that in APT Taipei. So we'll see you there, folks. As flop comes King 8 for Rainbow. Erdine making top pair. Let us go from there as the pre-flop aggressor.
It's pretty scary when you say it like that we only collected 600k here.
Scary.
So we're 400,000 off of the guarantee in Taipei. So we're hoping, we're praying that 200 more runners plus show up to Taipei.
And I think we're fairly confident at that as well. Just simply geography. Phu Quoc, not the most accessible place to get to. Tiny island off the coast of Vietnam. But Taipei, but even then, still, we got 507 entries for the main event. So, we will see. Maybe it's a gamble. Only way to find out is to join us in APT Taipei. Again, you can get all of the information. Link in the description below. Or you can go to www.theasianpokertour.com. There is the Asian. Always, if I put in AsianPokerTour.com, it just takes me to like a random generic site. It needs the V. Oh, you can see it on the rail here. TheAsianPokerTour.com. Pocket 7s for Leung Yuk Min, our chip leader, table captain. Looks like we're going to get multiple folds, but Nakagiri Junichi of Japan, one of our bigger stacks here, plays 3rd in chips. Picks up Queen 10 suited here as equities run 50-50. Now
it will go back to 50-50
unless Okada
Ken
comes along here. Okada Ken in the hat here. Pondering his decision. He's gonna go all in for 16 big blinds versus the middle position raise and the flat with all the dead money in the middle.
This could work, you know. If he could get through the 7s, the +1 open.
And that's the problem for Nakagiri here, just flatting, just because you still have people to act behind you who could 3-bet. Queen 10 suited, of course, still defend, but just a really fortunate spot. The 4s putting 7s in a bit of a spot here. but might just call for the 18, 19 big blinds. Is going to make the call. Back on Nakagiri here, Junichi. See, this is a kind of spot where sometimes I go, something pot odds, but I'm starting to learn, even with a hand with the Queen 10 of Hearts in the 3-bet pot, you're dominated quite a bit. So Nakagiri makes the wise fold. So we're going to see pocket pair and pocket pair violence, and Okada Ken going to be shown the bad news. He is not flipping. He is dominated. 4-1 underdog. Needs to find the 4. May the 4 be with you, Okada Ken.
Wow, it's looking grim with the 7 of clubs in the window.
May the running 5-8. Good game, Okada Ken. Thank you so much for joining us here at the APT High Roller. It was our privilege doing commentary for you. And all the best with your travels. And GG, my friend. GG. And folks, that is going to be my cue to take my leave, as my very talented colleague, co-commentator Vitor Single is coming into the booth, going to be joining forces with Henry Kilbane to bring you some fire commentary. On behalf of myself, I'm Greg Goes All In. Thanks so much for watching, and I will leave you all in the very capable hands of my 2 co-commentators. Please give it up in the live chat for Henry Kilbane and Vitor Single.
It's like the introduction to a music festival or something. Just love it. The energy that Greg brings. So he's going to ride off into the night. Tomorrow's morning newspaper headline going to be Greg Goes All In, kidnapped in Phu Quoc for shaming the Prime Minister of his home country, Singapore. Good night, Vietnam, and welcome home, Singapore. So we welcome Vitor Single into the booth. How you doing, my man? What have you been up to?
Doing very well, Henry. What the hell did I just walk into?
Oh, dude, don't worry. The police are on their way.
Greg is amped up at 10 p.m.
He's always bringing the energy.
What does he eat all day? I'll have what he's having. Well, Henry, I just came back from Grand World, one of the primary attractions here in Phu Quoc. Just 5 minutes away from the poker room here. Absolutely incredible. I thought it would be a touristy nightmare, but honestly, one of the coolest places I've ever seen. It's like 500 things to do condensed into a square mile. Cannot recommend Phu Quoc enough. Been having a great time. But good evening to the chat and everybody joining us for this high roller. I have been following some of the coverage, Henry.
I hope you haven't been.
Well, I'm a degenerate. I love poker. I love the APT.
I was kind of hoping you would get some rest in, some downtime. Hour 40 left on the clock for today. Before we wrap things up, the final players will be bagging and tagging for day 2. 102 runners in this high roller, 15 places paid. Had some fireworks already, very early doors. Some out-of-line pre-flop shenanigans going on.
That's what high rollers are for. Pre-flop aggression. I think being a high roller almost demands pre-flop aggression. Did you end up picking a lane as to how to pronounce our Mongolian friend's name, Henry?
Yeah, I went with Bat Erdin Erdenbayer.
Oh my god. There's no need to show off here.
Just absolutely crushing it. One of the several Mongolian players to make it out to Phu Quoc. Poker slowly but surely growing in that part of the world. Strong showing from the team here. Not just in the main and the high roller, but all of the events throughout the festival.
But going to war against the monster stack of Phu Quoc. Has the goods right now. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Just folds the ace-9 right off the bat. Tells his opponent about his monster fold, so to speak. Gets shown the good news. A nice gesture there, showing the queens. Usually I have my issues about showing cards, sharing strategy. To me, it's war at the poker table. But you know what? It's late at night. It's late in the series. It's a nice thing to do. Keep it friendly.
Yeah, that's a good point. Late in the series. I'm not sure, though. Maybe that's just me. I show way too many cards.
Why do you think you do it? There's always some selfish reason, isn't there?
I just don't like the idea that people think I screwed them over, I guess.
Oh, you want to be seen as nice.
Yeah,
I get it.
Pretty much.
It's your need to be liked.
Ooh. Psychology 101, it sounds like my therapist is in here.
A huge 3-bet jam, just wielding that monster stack against the relatively short stacks in the 20 to 30 big blind range. Has Phu Quoc been doing this all day? I mean,
No, it seemed that way, but he's been picking his spots. You just saw him lay down the ace-9, obviously. He's been pretty competent, both pre-flop, post-flop, and at different stack depths. Seems to know what he's doing from what we've seen so far.
such a different atmosphere too from the main event that we were commentating on earlier today. Obviously, the final table of the main event and relatively early stages for high roller, completely different ball game. But I do like the contrast of the mindset the players might be in. Final table was mostly all business, going for those huge pay jumps. No small stakes being played for here, but everybody a bit relaxed, maybe a little autopilot, once again, considering the time of night. It is late in the series as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. You do get different play styles depending on the time of day or the stage of the festival, depending on how players are running. If they've been running well, they typically tend to remain composed and stoic and precise. As if they're on like an OFA throughout the festival, things not going their way. Is Erdenbayer just rifled it in with kick high? There's me talking about composure. Just jamming it in against Tran, who he does have covered.
My oh my.
See if Tran could sniff this one out. I mean,
There's a lot of draws possible, of course.
a lot of draws, 8s, 9s. Would those hands just jam, though? That's the question. This is just... Yeah, it gets the fold. Came in like a wrecking ball. Bring me back that Minded Cyrus. Dropping like flies, by the way. Down to 38 players now. Couple levels left on the clock.
15 paid, of course. No chance we reach that milestone before the end of play today, but a milestone to think about probably making it to the next day. Or perhaps you do get those renegades who'd rather make it to the next day with a big stack. And if not, they'd rather just lose it all. Might sound a bit crazy to anybody who doesn't have high roller money lying around to punt off in tournaments. But there are people who really value a stress-free night's sleep. Rather come into a tournament fresh the next day with a big stack, or maybe a new starting stack. So you do see some eliminations right towards the end of the day. Henry, have you made your way to Grand World yet?
No, but I've heard. Well, actually, that's a lie. I made my way there by accident. The first night that I arrived, I asked the driver to take me to the poker room. Somewhere, due to things being lost in translation, he started taking me on a tour around the local vicinity, and ended up at Grand World. Looked like Disneyland.
Basically, except with 500 Vietnamese restaurants in it,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of the inside of the Venetian.
Precisely, except like 10 times the size. And once again, 500 Vietnamese restaurants. I'll tell you what, I've been to Disneyland, and what it was missing was 500 Vietnamese restaurants.
I don't think I've been to Disneyland.
Well, Disneyland is notorious for the worst, most overpriced food on the planet.
Yeah?
To the extent you can call it food, it's mostly pretzels and hot dogs.
Yeah.
I grabbed a nice little bubble tea. And of course, Vietnam loves its coffee.
They do.
Coffee's so good in Vietnam.
Are you allowed to take your own food into Disneyland?
Absolutely not.
What?
You would cut into their profit margins by 80% if you did that,
Are
probably.
you sure you're not allowed to?
You can only sneak it in. Candy and stuff.
Yeah.
Some edibles, maybe.
Wow, okay.
Edibles, I said. Edible foods.
Yeah. Sure. Cool.
Another thing I noticed coming into the booth a bit late, coordinated attire, at least in the frame right now. Somebody shared the memo before coming to this feature table. All right, guys.
What, they're all wearing what? Sorry? You said coordinated attire?
White t-shirts.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And if you do want to wear shades, make sure they match.
Make sure they're similar to Greg Goes All In shades.
I'm not sure our viewers can catch it as effectively, but I can hear still the buzz in the poker room off the table feed, the audio. Pretty cool to see the poker room still buzzing. It is, after all, the day after the main event ended. You'd think things might slow down.
That's a good point.
Not
That's
at all.
a really good point. Was that King Queen in the muck there? Like, is that my eyes just failing me towards the end of the trip? It was. It was. It was King Queen O. Straight into the muck.
Well, predictability in poker is not why you come to Vietnam, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, my grandfather used to tell me when I was a kid, so Henry, to assume is to make an ass out of you and me. And that has served me incredibly well
Classic.
during my commentary career in Southeast Asia.
Standard open, ace-6 off from the button. Always risky to open when the chip leader's on the big blind. Riskier still if they happen to find ace-jack off. Bump it up, 30K now.
500 Vietnamese restaurants.
Give or take. That's my best guess. I'm happy to bet on it and find it out, the real number tomorrow.
Wait, hang on. Is this a 4-bet? Okay, so Yamamoto has been reading a different strategy book to me. Folded the small blind with King Queen O to a single raise from the button. It's now 4-betting, making a stand against the chip leader, button v big blind. It's a sizable 4-bet as well, by the way.
3x straight up. Here's the nice hand, and the chip leader is going to lay down the better hand. Power poker. Yamamoto. Incredible. Ace-6 off. I mean, not even suited.
He gets how it works out here. The offsuit ace-X, the powerhouse of poker at the Asian Poker Tour.
Cool blazer, good posture, and power poker. Deadly combo.
As Ray likes to call them, samurais. Why are you laughing, Vidor? I'm sorry, I don't know why you're laughing, but
no comment. The viewers who have been with us since the start of the main event might just get that reference. Uh-oh.
oh boy. One of the most active players waking up with a legit hand. Part of the Mongolian contingent. Abat Erdin Erdenbayer. I feel like I'm saying that with a slight Austrian accent. It's probably a bit more aggressive than that, but we'll go with Bat for now. Bat happy to tango with his ladies, especially against the pocket nines of Junichi.
A pretty tense moment here, simply because of the stack sizes at play. 26 big blinds behind, 71K now in the middle. Junichi making the call. Under a 2 SPR, stack to pot ratio, with 130K effective bat stack. And a queen on the board might slow things down. Quick check. Fairly easy to be well balanced in these sort of situations. With a board like King 6-3, extremely dry, bat could easily be checking ace-king, even aces, often enough. As a result, Junichi maybe not too comfortable in this hand yet, nor should he be. Losing to the queens thus far.
Yeah, pretty grim spot for the Japanese player. 1 overcard, delayed c-bet. It's a 3-bet pot, so obviously range is allegedly more condensed, especially from +1 the big blind. As Fedor alluded to, you know, it's just the type of player that's going to check hands like kings, aces, ace-king. Rainbow completing turn card. This is a difficult one to get away from. Still losing to tens, jacks and queens, obviously. Not just the obvious ace-king, aces. Got to keep him honest for at least one street.
Certainly not surprised to see the 30K call, 1 street as you said. But the key decision point on the river, both for Bat and for Junichi. Bat can have a strong sense that he's ahead. Given the action, decides to make a bit of a blocker bet, it seems like. Does not put his whole stack in there despite the sub 1 SPR. 50k into 130.
Another scare card of sorts. If he was getting out of line with a hand like Jack 10, Queen Jack, Ace Jack, although you could argue, you know, would they be more inclined to check river and try and take their showdown?
Certainly Queens is about a bit better than Ace Jack here, so he might be playing Ace Jack the same way, given the action. And as a result, Shinichi in a bit of a blender, getting a good price too, thanks to the smaller bet. Does need to suss out what it means when somebody only bets 50k with 50k behind into 130. Does it scream strength? Does it scream a desperate bluff? Or as it happens to be, does it scream blocker?
Yeah, really not beating much from what a 3-bet range should look like. Ace Queen, Ace 10 shouldn't really be doing much 3-betting from the big. You're hoping for the, well, we're in Vietnam, so not only the suited Ace Wheel X, like Ace 4, Ace 5, but the offsuit varieties as well.
Is Junichi talking too bad? Trying to get a read?
I think so, yeah.
I love it. That's what live poker is all about, right?
Let's maybe watch the stream. Seen some of the pre-flop shenanigans in the form of loose 3-bets from the likes of Bat.
One hand he hasn't had a chance to watch yet, which I came in for, was Bat shoving that king-queen off on the 7-6 deuce board in there. On the flop. Pure air. Certainly capable of some crazy plays.
Oh, it's going to pay him off. And Bat scoops a sizable pot. 231k. Now up to 56 big blinds. Seemed to know exactly where he was at. Bat even asked Junichi if he had 10s. Pretty much the same thing. This is the thing about some of these guys, Vidor, is, you know, we can look at a very small sample of hands, like a bucket of 30 or 40 hands that we've streamed so far today, and we can make pretty big assumptions off of a small sample on what our readers, but it often backfires on, you know, Bat just kind of showcasing there that he's well aware of what his image looks like, and he's clearly dialed in the sense that he's also aware of what his opponent's ranges look like to size down there and then read out his opponent's hand as well.
Pretty cool.
Pretty spot on.
Absolutely. Very impressive. And it just recontextualizes the whole hand for me. Because that was actually a bit of a genius value bet on the river in that case. Not just a blocker, but he just knew his customer. Wanted to get paid off and bet the perfect amount. I mean, talk about maximizing value. Probably got every last dime he could have in that spot. With queens versus nines with a king on the board. Not easy. Not easy at all to get value the way he did. Certainly one of the skills in live poker is exactly what you just said, Henry. Constantly being aware of your own image.
Right.
Playing against it. Or just utilizing it when needed.
What do you think your image is when you play poker? Be honest. We got 40 people listening in.
I was pleasantly surprised when I got some feedback that I had an intimidating demeanor at the poker table.
Okay.
Who would have thunk it?
I struggle to believe that.
Trust me, I do too. But I do get zoned in sometimes. And I guess I'd watched enough Phil Ivey growing up to practice my stare down.
Did you used to stare at Ivy in the screen?
Well, I used to practice in front of the mirror after watching Ivy, thinking, I'm going to be like that one day. But really, I sort of have two gears. I like the social aspect of the game. I don't like wearing headphones, at least in the initial stages. Have a chat. And then as things get serious, maybe day 2, day 3, I'm not opposed to putting on those headphones, really zoning in, doing whatever it takes. Maybe that's when I'm slightly more intimidating. How about yourself?
I'm just a whale. I think people think I'm like a trust fund kid, or like the Queen's godson or something.
Your accent does scream prep school, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah. It's annoying because if you knew my family background, it was like... If you ever meet my brothers, if any of them ever come to an event just for like a vacation or something, when me and my brothers start talking, if you had your eyes closed, you would not believe that it's me and my brothers. So you think we're completely different people.
Oh yeah, how so? Paint me a word picture, Henry.
Well, I don't know if I want to be putting this out there. We talk very street with each other, like very street. It's really
Which
different.
streets?
Like the UK streets. Very street.
If that's not a podcast waiting to happen, I don't know what is.
No, it's cringe as well because my persona in poker obviously comes from commentary, right? So everyone's used to listening to me do commentary. People jest about, putting their kids to sleep whilst listening to me do commentary, etc. They're like, "Oh, Henry, the kids are falling asleep on the couch whilst we got the poker up." Whenever I talk the way that I talk with my brothers live on air or like on a podcast or anything like that, people just get cringed out. They just get, they're like, "Henry, who are you pretending to be? Like, what are you trying to do?" Because it just doesn't fit this image that they have in their mind. The same way that I struggle to think that, like, think of you as some serious type, because you're just a very bubbly, happy guy. So we dive back into this. Tran, all in at risk, does have 33% equity against Bat's pocket jacks. Bat on a bit of a tear after getting 2 streets of value from his queens earlier on. Can he hold here on the King 8-6 board? Looking good so far. Does need to fade some running backdoor draws, and the 8 of spades removes all of those. So an ace and an ace only for Tran. No dice. See, he's eliminated late into day 1. But Bat Erdinbayer on an absolute spin, Vidor.
Indeed. In the short time I've been in the booths, he's easily been the most active player, made the most moves, extracted the most value, as you just alluded to, and now finds the jacks facing the all-in. Gets a relatively easy to acquire, I should say, stack. Gotta be feeling good heading into the end of day 1 here. Really seems in control of the whole situation, doesn't he, Bat?
Yeah.
Just aware of what's happening in every hand, it seems like, with every player.
Yeah, he's dialed it.
No dice for Junichi on the button. 10-7 off, not good enough. Has been crippled a bit after that hand with the pocket 9s. And speaking of pocket 9s, look at that. Wang Hui Win finds the 9s, makes a raise. Shows it to be nice. I had a hand there, Yamamoto. I'm not bullying you in position.
So that's how things stand at our main feature table once again. Asian Poker Tour, Phu Quoc, 2-day high roller. It feels crazy that we're already here, to be honest with you. Obviously, the main event wrapping up earlier today.
Totally. I feel like we, and I mean the commentators, not to mention the players, haven't had a chance to process it yet. the main event.
No.
4 days later, it's over. We've crowned a champion, Mr. Jack Ramsden.
Yeah, shout out Jack Ramsden. Saw him FaceTiming. Well, I can only assume as a close friend or a family member, just moments after winning the main. Some laughs being shared.
That's a great call to make, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get much purer than that, right? You got someone watching the stream wherever they are in the world, then get to jump on a call with them afterwards and celebrate. It's pretty cool.
And I'll tell you what, once you win, that's when you're really interested in what everybody had. There's no pain. You're like, oh, I got bluffed here. No problem. Oh, this guy did this so-and-so to me? Oh, well. Well played, sir. I still won. Jun with the king 10 of spades. The best hand for now in the 86% equity. Yonk, of course, with the big stack. The queen high. 33k in the middle. Not too much to fight for, it seems. Queen high gets announced. King high will take down the pot. Little passive from Jun, but seemed to know that he might just be ahead. Found no need to stab at it. Fair enough. As we see a new player joining the table in seat 6. Uh-oh. I just heard the table chatter. The tournament chip leader, perhaps, joining the table in seat 6. And what do you know? Bat in seat 5, who has been having his way with the table off late, will now have one of the biggest stacks in the tournament on his left. And when we're talking about players in the high roller, that's no joke. Position makes a world of a difference if you know what to do with it. And in high rollers, players tend to know what to do with it. Should be getting in an updated chip count of the new player at the table.
Yeah, it looks like he had about 650k in front of him.
Well, while we are talking about big stacks, how about Nyonk finding the king jack off, defending in the small blind? Fair fight. Ace-6 king jack. Quang in position, of course. The pre-flop raiser on the button. Something for both players. Might just get Quang in a bit of trouble. Catches the 6. Middle pair top kicker. Good for a 25% c-bet.
Yeah, we know these local players don't mind playing big pots against each other. Undercard to the king 6. Maybe got to open the door for Wynn to continue firing as he does. Spades obviously bricking.
A tiny bet once again. Less common to see very tiny bets on the turn. Continuation bets on the flop, of course, have become increasingly tinier as time has gone on. Thanks to sims and people realizing that they're pretty effective, allows them to bet more often. Pot ends up probably smaller than it could have been. And actually, Quang's betting strategy sort of pays off. Bought himself a cheap river showdown with that bet. Well maneuvered there. There we see it. 111 big blinds. Newest player at the table. Leaving Bat a bit sandwiched between two of the biggest stacks, perhaps, in the tournament. As we wind down day 1 of the high roller at the APT Phu Quoc. Once again, to everybody watching, in case you haven't booked your flights to Taipei already, Make sure you check the schedule at the Asian Poker Tour website for the upcoming APT Taiwan. Kicks off 28th of April. And now we can officially say it's this month.
Oh yeah, we can.
Also, satellites kick off tomorrow, Sunday, April 2nd, on Natural 8, ranging from $3. I mean, imagine, you can do some step statty action, $3, work your way up to a main event ticket, $1,600, give or take, and then maybe spin that up, take the event down. $1 million guarantee for the main event, by the way. It'll be one of the biggest fields on the Asian poker circuit at the biggest poker room in Asia.
Could also play day ones tomorrow. So you can actually qualify for day 3, the live day 3 that is, in Taipei from the comfort of your own home. Saves the troubles of traveling to the event and playing day 1, day 2. So yeah, for those of you that are somewhat on the fence, as Fidor mentioned, online satellites, and then you can also play and qualify into day 3 from the comfort of your own home.
My dream for APT Taipei is that we see the new Chris Moneymaker of Asia. Somebody who entered a $3, maybe a $30 satellite. What a surprise, that's the one I'm planning to enter. Maybe I'll be the next Chris Moneymaker of Asia. Spins their way all the way to win the main event and sparks off a new poker boom, a new poker era. Arguably, we're in the middle of one already. The Asian scene just booming. I mean, just picture it. Over 100 entries to the high roller tonight. We're approaching the end of the series. Plenty of events still left, in case you're around. There's 5 to 6 every day, really. But very impressive numbers, not only in the main event, over 500 entries, but even in the high roller today. People putting up big money to try and win even bigger money. So, billionaire being crowned at this event. I did not realize until I entered the booth. Over 1 billion Vietnamese dong to the winner. It's just such a cool feeling to win $1 billion of something.
Trying to think if I've ever won $1 billion of something. Can't say I have.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, even in video games, they never get up to the billion.
No, I was going to say, like, can't think of much. Flat on the button from Erden by the way, with the queens. Surprised to see this adjustment being made. 3 undercards. See if he picks up any customers. Win with an interesting spot. Feels like one of those spots where you may pill one just to try and protect your check calling range. But just going to get out of the way against the larger stab rather.
Bat perhaps either revealing or showing his hand again, something he has been doing, keeping it friendly as we count down the final 24 minutes. But the action has been fast-flowing, considering we're approaching the end of the day. Some players might be mentally checked out, but nope. Not on this table at least, and perhaps not in the tournament in general. They call it a high roller for a reason. These guys are the best of the best. They know what they're doing. They don't zone out. Case in point, the fold from Quang, who now finds aces under the gun +1. Keeps a smile on his face as he casually raises. That does happen sometimes. You're in a conversation, perhaps you're smiling. You look down at aces, and then you start consciously controlling your face. I must keep the same expression I had before I look down at my hand. And then slowly phase it out.
My favorite ones are where someone's in like the natural flow of a genuine conversation.
Yeah.
And then they'll look down at an absolute monster. and they will just continue seamlessly with the story whilst counting out raising chips and electing to raise. Wow, so Win limped from under the gun and has now allowed Wu Junhao and Shunichi to both flop gut shots. Some real equity here for the blinds, although that is a sizable bet. 20k to 24k, and well, the 3 deuce hits the mark. One would assume that the 10-7 is also going to hit the mark.
Not too much action, but given the multi-way flop and the wet board, I have a feeling Quang will take it. But yeah, what a great point, Henry. That is a great tell, actually. If somebody raises somewhat consciously continuing the exact flow of conversation that they had after looking down at their hand, I'm going to treat that with some respect going forward. You ever seen someone do that when they look at the check at a restaurant? In the middle of a conversation. They might not realize that their eyes widen a bit before they contract again.
I typically try to avoid eating at places that are going to make me go big-eyed on the bill. Don't know about you. Pretty good when it comes to budgeting and managing finances.
I wish I could say the same. I do get carried away once in a while.
Yeah?
I'm not the biggest foodie, but once in a while you find yourself in places like Vietnam, in fact, where the food options are just so good.
Well, how big would a bill have to be to catch you off guard? I mean, say you're out for dinner with a few friends, there's like 4 of you. Like 100 a head's reasonable?
Sure, for a great meal or fine dining, but I'll tell you what gets you, Henry. It's not the food, is it? It's when you have a few drinks, lose count, have a great night perhaps, 2-3 hours into it, the check finally comes.
Yeah.
You're like, I saw the menu, I saw the prices. Should be okay here.
You realize you're in Covent Garden and it's £36 for a gin and tonic.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Hate it when that happens. You know, I'm from New Delhi, and the culture there is, for better or worse, a lot of people like drinking at home with their friends, like having scenes at home. And once you get used to that, paying for the same drink in a restaurant,
Yeah.
one that you can mix yourself at home,
Yeah, I can
just
imagine.
hurts that little extra pinch, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Eastern Europe, so I was taught from like the age of 13 what rakia is, and vodka was basically a supplement that you took from the age of 13. I mean, it's like, yeah, that'll put hairs on your chest. Get that down you. But yeah, no, it's different cultures and definitely different relationships with alcohol depending on where you are in the world. Well, I remember when I first went to visit a friend and they got the rakia out for a meal. So we jump back into this, a bit of a cooler, if you will. Woo Kim Jin defending.
With the double shoulder pose there. Can't help but notice.
Sorry, he did open from the hijack. Love the check back, by the way, in position. Really nice to have some top pairs in our check back range, especially on board textures like this, where it's really difficult to get 3 streets of value from worse hands. And given how quickly the equities and the board textures can shift across future streets, I think checking this back really just allows us to get to the river in a safe way, as the ace of clubs does complete the board. So the front door club's getting there. Some hands that Win was ahead of now behind. Hands like ace jack, ace king. Looks like he's going for a block-ish sizing here. Yeah.
Extremely blockish. Down bets. 12K. He does hold a key blocker to the extent this hand goes a bit awry from this point on.
Yeah, I don't think once you've checked flop you can ever fold river. With top pair, you get shown the good news, and the rich get richer.
Great point about the check back on the flop, Henry. And perhaps your PLO experience showing a little bit. Very common in PLO to check back things like top pair when the board is extremely draw heavy. Maybe to reduce variance. Sometimes it's actually minus EV to actually bet top pair in those spots. And I like to think of that as an example of how playing a different variant, particularly PLO, can actually improve your hold'em game, even your tournament hold'em game.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, I see so many friends that are like new to PLO that go broke with like top 2 paired, no backup. For example, I don't know, Queen 9 on a Queen 9 3 board, and they've got Queen 9 8 7. You know, they've got no way to improve to a better 2 pair. They've got no way to improve to a straight or
Meanwhile,
a flush. You know.
Sorry to interrupt, but while we were in hypothetical land, in my head, the opponent has Queen Jack 10-8, or perhaps some sort of flush redraw, bottom set. I mean, you're just hating life at that point, getting it in. Even though it seems pretty strong to have top 2 pair. But that's PLO.
The great game.
The great game.
Potential multi-way affair here.
Pretty much even equities. Ace 10 suited, Jack 9 suited, pocket threes. It's like a demo hand in poker equities.
Well, how about bottom set for Junichi? It's one of the shorter stacks. More importantly, his opponent has flopped top pair on the 9-7-3. It's a monotone ball texture. Is ever a world where Ngok Min Lee didn't go broke, it'd be this kind of ball texture, one would assume.
Ace 10 gets out of the way, understandably. Lee certainly should stick around for at least one street, but seems to be sizing up his opponent and taking into account the fact that he led multi-way. Let's not forget that fold with the ace 9, it still haunts me. Folded middle pair top kicker to the continuation bet of bat, maybe 10 or 15 hands ago.
That's a dangerous turn card for the local Vietnamese player. Spades bricking, overcards to the board, bricking. Junichi turning the full house. His opponent is drawing live. 108k behind with 90k in the middle. See what size he wants to go for.
How about that glance at his opponent?
I love the sizing. I'm a big fan of the sizing, just really milky. Trying to keep in some of those draws that are dead. Doesn't want to scare off some of the thin value that his opponent could have. 140k in the middle, going to the river. Wow, I thought that was the 9 of clubs for a second
So
there,
did I.
Bud.
So did I. I thought that was going to be a sick cooler. As it stands, Junichi gets a check mark and has just over a half pot bet behind. I can only assume it's all going in, and Lee will have a real decision. One of the advantages of the small bet on the turn is it actually eliminates a lot of tiny flushes from Junichi's range. Assumably, would bet a little bit more if he had something like 5-4 of spades or any other such small flush. one of the many variables Lee might be considering here. The jam also eliminates certain value hands, by which I mean maybe an ace-9, king-9. Perhaps as the board gets more and more dangerous, would not be jamming.
Yeah, some overpairs as well, you know. Unless we're speaking specifically aces, kings with a spade. The big blind is perceived to have more flushes in their range. Let's say cut-off open.
This is a tough one to work out, Henry. It's more complicated than it looks. Thinking through it, most sevens also might not bet as small as Junichi did on the turn. You have to imagine only something like ace-7 with the ace of spades would feel as comfortable letting their opponent get a cheap river. And maybe not even then.
Wow, he can't get away from it. Junichi gets the double up to 51 bigs. And a sizable blow to the local players' stack.
Very well played by Junichi. You were appreciating the turn bet sizing. Ended up really paying off on the river as well with the pot odds on offer from that final river bet. Lee somewhat understandably could not get away from it. I mean, thinking through the hand, it's tough to work through both the value and the bluff range of your opponent there. If you really think about what hands would play that way, the possibilities get narrower and narrower by the time you reach the river, and perhaps you end up confused. So Junichi now crossing the 50 big blind mark. Had taken a pretty big dent with the hand against bat, queens versus nines. Sort of making a comeback here. As we see the big stack on the table in the frame. Now sort of a clear chip leader on the table. Now that Lee has been crippled a bit in that hand. Players certainly taking peek backs at the tournament clock, knowing that the day is winding down. Perhaps looking forward to bagging and tagging, as they call it.
The old bag and tag. Something I haven't done in a long time.
Yeah, that's because you have to survive day ones, Henry.
Yeah, exactly. You also have to play tournaments as well, so as much as I love self-deprecating humor, let's be honest, I also love the great game of Pot Limit Omaha too much.
Do you say it like Joey Ingram?
You give me a deep stacked PLO game or a tournament, I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough to tear me away, but I'll tell you what did tear me away and had me fire 3 bullets into it. The Super Hold'em event here. I haven't had that much fun playing poker in a long time. And I implore you to play it in Taipei if you get the chance, mate.
Absolutely. Why do they call it super?
You get because it's super fun, obviously.
Obviously.
You get dealt 3 cards. Unlike PLO, you can use all 3 cards in your hand to make the highest 5-card hand combination. So you can use 3 in your hand and 2 from the board, 1 in your hand and 4 from the board, 2 from your hand and 3 from the board. And
That
even
sounds-
in my bust-out hand, I celebrated thinking I had won the hand,
Oh, pain.
not knowing that my opponent could use all 3 cards from his hand, and I didn't realize they actually had a boat instead of a set.
So much pain.
Yeah, it was. That was painful.
I don't know, man. Sounds a bit out of line to me. Sounds like a recipe for absolute degeneracy.
It's fantastic. I mean, the players love it.
That's what I love about the APT. I mean, how many tournament series can you go to where you can mix in high rollers, super high rollers, along with these super hold'em and other fun events. We had an event in India once, sort of meant for players new to live tournaments, lower buy-ins, starting as low as $200 to $300 if I remember correctly. And you got to run it twice once in the tournament. Everybody had a run it twice chip.
What? I love that.
Isn't
That's
that great?
insane. What if your opponent rejected?
I think you vetoed. Everybody got to do it once whenever they desired. Obviously not meant to represent some serious form of poker, but my theory is all of us start out playing poker for fun, you know, with our friends, probably in some home game. And it's cool because it is a sport that you can get better and better at. Everybody probably starts out playing more sports for fun also. And then when it comes to the big leagues, you've got to take it seriously. But once in a while, it's cool to be at a venue where there's otherwise really high stakes elite poker going on, and yet you can splash around, have some fun, maybe not take the game too seriously.
We go round number 10, through band. Blinds are up. 600, 1200, 1200 ante.
So we're about
This
to head
is your
into
last level of re-entry and registration.
the last level of the day. Yeah, that's a great point, man. I mean, there are sometimes days where I wish I could take it back to where I first discovered poker, you know, just the ignorance is bliss, you know?
Oh yeah.
Playing on Zinger Poker for play money, snap calling with 10 high. I have to be good here, right? They're obviously bluffing. Remember, one of the first things I ever learned about No Limit Hold'em was that the Royal Flush is the best hand that you can make. And with that information, my mind put 2 and 2 together and said, okay, we're only going to play hands that can make Royal Flushes.
So pocket nines, hitting the muck, pre-flop.
Let's just say it took me a while to realize that wasn't the best strategy.
We have a situation brewing here.
We do indeed. I believe the chips are likely to find their way into the middle, given that Bat has 3-bet. Oh, how about this win? Just got a flat call with the queens. 95k in the middle, 92 the effective stack. Comes 997. See what Bat does. He does love betting out big. It's the pre-flop aggressor as he fires out a sizable bet. 55k it looks like. With win with just 45k rather. Surely now, Vidor, he can never fold.
Yeah, 997 is, all things considered, a fairly okay flop for ace-queen. You'd figure if you were ahead pre-flop, you might still be, but of course he was dominated pre-flop, and now with just 13% equity, put to a decision where he has to call about 47k into 232. Yeah, he makes the call. I mean, he might have been figuring his overcards are good. As it happens, the queen is fairly dead, but 2 aces left in the deck to shoot for. Let's not forget, can also come 9-9.
9-9. Great show. 2 cards to come.
There is one of those nines.
Don't you
Did I
dare.
just call it? That would be so sick.
Ah, the 9's dead.
Ooh.
Full house on board. Full house no good. 4 bat. Wow, imagine if you just called out the 9-9 like that.
That would be.
You'd never be allowed back in the commentary booth.
Oh
ever
yeah.
again.
They'd ban me from all the casinos in Asia. Blacklisted. So Woo Kim Jin, still the newest entrant on the table, but he's maintained his chip lead. He's been in a few pots here and there. Thinking back to early poker wins, Henry, I still remember the first hand I ever won. And the statement that sticks with me, because I didn't know what I was doing, was, do you even know how unlikely that was? I guess I hit some sort of gut shot. But what did I care? I was just raking those chips in.
Wait, when was this, sorry?
Probably one of the first few hands of poker I ever played when I got taught. And actually, when I was taught the game, they just called it Hold'em. They didn't even say it's poker. They're like, let me teach you Texas Hold'em. Like, okay. Then I won like $5. I thought, this is the greatest game to have ever been invented. And here I am, 15 years later.
Still strapped in.
I gotta say, it might just be the greatest game ever invented. It has to be a contender. I mean, I know I feel that way. I'm saying, in absolute terms, it might just be one of the greatest games ever invented.
I mean, listen, you're competing with Pot Limit Omaha and Super Hold'em.
Fair, fair, fair. I mean, poker. I mean, there are variants that might have a chance here and there. And who knows, 50 years from now, what variant is the most popular? I wouldn't be surprised if it is Super Hold'em. But poker, just this idea of this game of incomplete information.
Super Hold'em would crush if more people knew about it, I think. It's one of those games that every time we run it, there's just a collective of people around the tables railing, and more often than not, those players end up, or sorry, those people watching on the rail end up being converted into actual players because they see all of the fun that's going on. They're like, hang on a minute, this looks insane. Like, this looks like a lot of fun.
It's like a table of craps at a casino.
Yeah, exactly. And then what happens? They hit the rebuy button like I did on 2 occasions.
We do hear from the chip leader on the table, Woo Kim Jen. Thoughts on the double pose, Henry? I mean, you've seen it all at this point.
Looks comfortable. Great posture. Thinking long term. They do say, or doctors do say, sitting down is the new smoking.
Ouch.
Brutal.
I see what you're doing. I'm sitting down. You're standing up right now. And you're mocking me.
I'm just letting you know the qualified doctors from Stanford University have been preaching about recently. I don't know why I chose Stanford.
Were you just thinking American University?
I was just thinking, what scientists do I know? And then the reality is I only know one, and that's Dr. Andrew Huberman. So it goes to show how well versed I am in any field of science.
Yes, but how many poker players do scientists know? They're not better than us.
Dude, we're everything. The moment any topic comes up on a global scale, poker players are the first people to go to Twitter and start giving their unsolicited opinions and advice on things they know nothing about.
That really is so true. Poker Twitter is a wild, wild landscape. And about once every month, there is either a controversy, a prop bet, a heads up for rolls match that just has everyone buzzing. And I just consume it all like the sheep I am. Give me more drama.
Content. So Win gonna defend his big blind. Did just double a few moments ago against the man he's squaring off against. Erden by it as both players head to the Queen 10 flop. Maybe a case of once bitten, twice as shy. As he decides to not c-bet on the Queen 10, instead opts to delayed stab. Once Win has caught up. King of Hearts, potential scare card for Win, but Erden by it not opting to barrel, and with that, we're now up to a very comfortable 40 bigs, and Erdenbayer, who was cruising along at one point, seemed like he couldn't lose a pot, is now down to about 66% of average. Not looking good for the Mongolian, although still has a very healthy stack. But needs to remain patient and focused. Things to turn back around. 33 players remain.
Final level of the day. Got to be playing in the minds of all these players. Shinichi wakes up. A solid holding. Bumps it up from the cutoff. 2.3x sort of open. The same hand for Lee. With the much bigger stack, did get a bit stung by Junichi. Does not mean he's going to shy from making that 3-bet and sort of seizes control of the hand despite having the same holding. Seems like a quick call from Junichi. Let's see a flop, and I do love hands where players have the same pocket, or hold cards I should say. Becomes a case of who wants it more, who's more aggressive. Sometimes maybe who just has the betting lead, the initiative. In this case, Lee, the one with the initiative. As a result, on a board as blank and dry for ace-queen as jack-8-5, certainly the favorite to win the hand. However, he does check to Junichi, and time for Junichi, excuse me, to decide whether he wants to realize the equity or maybe take a stab. Decides to check behind. Ace-queen versus ace-queen. Who wants it more? Not Lee, it seems like. And I wonder if he's checking with the intention of perhaps looking up one street with his 2 overs and a gut shot to the straight. Junichi, with the same draws, also checks behind, tries to realize that equity. King doesn't really bring much apart from a guaranteed chop if this hand was to go to showdown.
Alright, players and dealers of the APT mini-main Flight B complete the hand at their own. Break time, 15-minute break.
Lee thinking, is ace high good enough to check?
Raise up all 500 chips.
And actually decides to turn his best no pair hand into a bluff of sorts. A sizable bluff at that. 2 checks from the man in position, Junichi. Certainly implies a bit of weakness. And Lee pouncing on it, not knowing they have the same hand, but perhaps stealing away this chop from Junichi with that sizable bet. Well played. Junichi looking disappointed, understandably. If he knew what he was up against, perhaps he would be even more disappointed. Still with a healthy stack though, 30 big blinds, 245k. 1 short stack on the table, Jun Hao Wu, around the 13 big blind mark. 33 minutes to go in the level and the day.
Yeah, one of my favorite things in poker. Forcing someone out of a chop.
Oh yeah.
Hit the showers, mate. Come on.
Well, in this case, it might not have been done intentionally.
No, of course. Yeah.
But I'm sure in PLO, you've done that plenty of times intentionally.
Well, the great thing about PLO is people getting it in with the nuts on the flop, but having like no redraw, and just getting hundreds and hundreds of big blinds in against like a naked nut straight, and you've got the naked nut, you got the nut straight with the higher straight redraw and the flush draw to go along with it, and your opponent, although they have the nuts, has like 27% equity.
I gotta love those free rolls, man, in PLO.
Do love a free roll.
I have seen people fold the nuts live in PLO.
There are
Open face.
Yeah.
Flop the nut straight with something like a 9-8. Board says 7-6-10.
Yep.
Maybe a flush draw.
7-6-10 wouldn't be a good example, but 8-7 on a 10-9-6 board would make a lot of sense.
Great point, yeah. Actually guesses 7 deuce, and believe it or not,
it was blind v blind. It was checked.
Fair, but still a good guess.
Yeah, all right.
Players were about to go on break. Release up in turn. 15 minutes break.
So as we close out the day, would love to hear from the chat. Did you also watch the main event? Anybody you're supporting in the high roller? And what are your plans for Taipei? Let us know. We will be seeing you there so we can hang out.
You better be joining us. That's what. No excuses. You get banned from the live chat.
Few players we really haven't heard from in a while, Henry. Ever since I sat down in the booth, did see Yamamoto get into a hand, but been fairly quiet ever since. On the other hand, the man on the button, Hyokmin Lee, perhaps one of the more active players on this table, alongside the under the gun +1 opener here, King Queen off for Junichi, and look at that. Also one of the most active people on the table, Bat, finds a real hand, ace queen in a squeeze spot, and does decide to go all in.
Let's go, Bat. What a spinny day it's been for a man from Mongolia.
A hint of a smile on the face of Junichi, as though seems to think he can't catch a break. A bit slow to release here, but I have a feeling release is exactly what he'll be doing to his king queen off. Simply cannot withstand the heat, surely. Hyokmin Lee looks like he has a decision, but perhaps also looking at an easier fold than it might seem like at first glance. That's a lot of blinds to be getting in, calling off ace-10 off. Even against an opponent as unpredictable as Bat.
He gets shown an ace. He's going to pick up the money in the middle and chip up nicely. He's back over 30 bigs. So 28 minutes left on the clock. We need to start coming up with team names for the different countries that are represented at the Asian Poker Tour. So like Mongolian Mayhem.
Of course, the alliteration is key. I like that. Let's keep that one. I love it. Well done. What else are we looking
Madness,
at?
Mongolian Madness. Mayhem, I like Mayhem.
I like Mayhem too. Sounds very legit. Sounds like a, let's see, like a soccer team that I could get behind.
Yeah, exactly.
The real question, of course, what is the local team going to be called?
That's what I'm Googling right now. I'm having a little look.
And how important is the alliteration? I mean, my name begins with a V, but not easy to come up with words that start with V that are suitable for a sports team name.
Vietnamese Victors.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
The issue with Mongolia is we have Malaysia. So both start with M.
What's the other one you suggested with them?
Madness. Was it Madness?
Malaysian Madness?
Mayhem. Madness.
From Malaysia, how
Malaysian Masters.
about Masters is pretty good.
Yeah.
I was going to go a little off kilter and just say the durians. Just named after some local fruits.
Yeah, but nobody likes durian.
No. 50% of the people in the world like durian.
It literally...
It's like Marmite. Malaysian Marmite. Doesn't make any sense, but the alliteration gets me.
tastes like garlic. Anyways, jumping back into this, chip leader, Woo Kim Jin with the goods. A couple of ladies from the small blind. See if he picks up any action, or further action, I should say, from Yamamoto.
I did just mention we hadn't heard from Yamamoto in a while. Did find a reasonable holding under the gun +1, ace-9 suited. Gets raised from the chip leader, but from the small blind it just looks so strong. Understandable to wait for a better spot.
Right, so we've got the Malaysian Masters.
Yeah, you're doing great so
Mongolian
far.
Mayhem.
You're crushing
Vietnamese
it.
Victors.
Who else have we seen today? Oh, the Aussies we have to cover
Ooh.
from the main event.
The audacious Aussies. Nah. I'm just throwing any random word that begins with A in my head now. Just kidding. I was like, the Australian aristocrats.
No.
Doesn't really work, does it?
That has to be you guys, Henry.
Yeah.
And by you guys, I mean the ever lovely Brits. Oh, the Aussie Aces. That's got to be easy.
Oh, yeah, let's go. Love that.
You know, this is one of those questions that ChatGPT could probably solve for us.
Listen,
with 1,000 options in 30 seconds.
ChatGPT has been doing enough of my homework recently.
How long before we're replaced in the booth by ChatGPT? That's the real question.
I've actually scripted an intro that I've used live on air from ChatGPT before. Nobody knew.
I'm not surprised. ChatGPT is pretty good at that stuff. And that's like version 1. Imagine version 10.
Well, technically it's 4.0, but...
That's true. Good point. Okay, imagine version 14 then. Point is 10 versions later.
It's going to be scary. I can't wait till you just get to put on some glasses. All right, we're going to have these shades in about 2 years from now, where just through Morse code, using your eyes as the communicator between the lenses of the glasses, you could just ask ChatGPT anything with your eyes.
Oh my god. I feel like I read that somewhere in some science fiction, and yet, all of a sudden, it seems so real.
Scary times. Well, Ray-Ban have those glasses now that can record.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That's not surprising,
They've had
yeah.
them for like a year and a half, I'd say. I think they got hit pretty heavily by the COVID situation because like they spent a lot of time and research and whatnot into the production of this product, and then the scheduled release date was like peak pandemic, so nobody really gave a damn about these sunglasses because they're like we're all locked indoors.
And there's nothing to record. We can't record
so
with our
I don't think it got like as much traction as like they had hoped for. Like their initial launch, like, you know, didn't go down too well.
Might be a bit out of line to have those at a poker table if the opponents don't know they're being recorded. But you know what I do like for the poker table? Those glasses with the bone conducting music technology. They look just like regular glasses, and they play music by literally conducting it through your skull. I might not be using the right scientific words here, but it is pretty amazing because it's immersive sound, like inside your brain. Not precisely in your ears, but inside your brain. I don't know how else to explain it, really, but it is pretty cool. Pretty sure I saw our man Phil Hellmuth promoting those at some point. "22 minutes to go," as you see on the clock there. We'll wrap up a relatively long day of poker for the series in general. High Roller, of course, started out later in the day, but we did have the final table of the main event kick off at about 12:30 p.m. Approaching 11:30 p.m. here as we speak.
It's been an action-packed day of poker here at the Corona Resorts and Casino. Phu Quoc Island in Vietnam quickly becoming kind of home base for poker in Southeast Asia. It's an amazing reputation as a place that not only you can come and play 10 days worth of poker, but also one of the biggest talking points has been the fact that you can just bring your family or your other half. So there's plenty for them to do, as long as they enjoy, you know, luxurious resorts, sunshine and beaches. If that's not their thing, then of course they'll probably hate it here, but
then you have other problems, I imagine. Meanwhile, a mystery hand, which I do love once in a while.
Do love the mystery hand.
Especially when it's 3-bet from the blinds. Junichi might not feel too comfortable with ace-8 suited. Indeed does let it go. Perhaps we will never know. Oh, ace-jack. Perfect outcome. Mystery hand during play, revealed afterwards. Gotta make that a regular feature. Perhaps the next APT in Taiwan.
Big fan of Kim's table demeanor, chip leader. Incredibly stoic and just presence seems to be dialed in. Great posture. His demeanor speaks of someone with a lot of live experience. As we see him let out a big old yawn. It has been a long day of poker. It's been a long 10 days of poker.
Last call, 1 minute. 1 minute warning.
It is pretty incredible that there is even an avenue for you to just come and chill out in Phu Quoc, as you were just saying, and yet put in a 10-day grind on the live tournament streets. I mean, I certainly remember a time when that was fairly unimaginable, which was a huge reason the World Series of Poker in Vegas, this sort of 40-day affair, was the level of attraction that it was. And now, with the APT bringing these events all across Asia, 5 to 6 times a year, absolute game changer. Very easy to plan vacations with your family, as you were mentioning, perhaps with your partner, around the schedule.
All right, main event. Round number 15, lines 2.
On that note, gentle reminder once again, if you haven't checked out the APT website for the upcoming event in Taipei, Taiwan, make sure you do that. And make sure you sign up for the satellites on Natural 8 starting this Sunday. As low as $3. You can get into the main event if you win one of those SATI tickets. That's over $1,500 US in value. And the main event, of course, guaranteed 30 million Taiwanese dollars in prize pool. Equates to about almost exactly $1 million USD. That is an absolutely massive guarantee.
$30 million Taiwanese dollars. That is ridiculous.
I thought the prize pool at APT Phu Quoc was ridiculous until I did a side-by-side comparison. For the main event, guaranteed 10 billion Vietnamese dong, beat that guarantee very effectively by almost 50%.
Understatement of the year right there.
And ended up with a USD prize pool of 640,000 US dollars, which was absolutely massive, over 100K won by 2 players today. And now we're talking about upping that in the guarantee itself in Taiwan to $1 million US dollars.
Yeah, Asian Poker Tour really going from strength to strength. Talking of strength to strength, Xuan Long Lei finding a 9 of spades on the river to get a lock on the hand. Trying to get some value from his opponent as well, to know exactly where he's at. Sounds like the mini main event still running in the background.
What a great still frame here for Wu to consider maybe framing. Perfectly captured posture, the focus, the blurry background of the casino floor. Huge shout out to the production team, absolutely crushing it all day and all series. Making possible the kind of coverage and the beautiful shots that we've been seeing all day.
Yeah, they really make our lives easy. We just get to
yap.
Yeah, yap.
And perhaps learn and try and get better at this beautiful game. I know I've absorbed some moves today. For one thing, I've absorbed how acting quickly, the way the main event winner, Jack Ramsden, was doing all day. Action on him, boom, bet. Action on him, boom, bet.
Yeah, it can certainly lead to your opponents making mistakes against you, or just not knowing how to adjust their strategies against you. Hang on a minute. Gok Min Lei has woken up with an absolute monster. It was the overwhelming chip leader for a lot of today. A couple of missteps. Things not going his way. This could be the turnaround point back into the northwards trajectory that he found himself in earlier on today. Well, not on that board. Queen 9 deuce. Zhen Hao Wu spiking the 3 outer on the flop. Needs to fade a king and a king only to double up. As he does, the 9 of spades. The needle, the additional needle from the poker gods. Oh, another small one for Ngok Min Lei.
That one's going to hurt. Certainly felt like he was going to recoup a lot of the losses that he had faced off late. But with 15 minutes to go to the end of the day, has to absorb that small dent to his stack, down to 56 big blinds. Still second in chips on the table. A far cry from where he was maybe a half hour ago.
It's actually not going to be 15 minutes. It's the final 4 hands. We just heard the floor announce. So 4 hands left. Before we call it a day. Again, I really implore you guys to go back and watch that main event. If you missed some of the highlights, we'll obviously be producing content outside of the series as well. Be releasing highlight hands. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube or following us on socials. Have a ton of fresh, hot content coming up and planned for later on this year. You're not going to want to miss.
I'm certainly looking forward to catching up on some of the stuff I've missed before I arrived in Phu Quoc, and also perhaps while I was on break or outside the booth. All the fun stuff Greg has been shooting on the casino floor with the players. It's going to be pretty cool to catch up on the series once it's over, when I'm nostalgic. And of course, if you are in the chat right now, or perhaps even watching in the future, really appreciate hitting the like button. Helps us get the content out to more and more people, grow the game. In fact, a little bit nerdy, but Twitter actually put out its algorithm, I think just today, and everybody's analyzing it. And likes are a huge factor in the content that gets pushed to people's feeds. The biggest factor by far, even more than retweets and replies.
Wow.
And if that's remotely close to true for the YouTube algorithm, think about the huge favor you'd be doing us by taking a couple of seconds, hitting like, getting this content out to more people.
Long live Elon Musk.
In Elon we trust.
In Elon we trust.
As Henry said, the last few hands of the day here.
Yeah, final 3 hands if you're including this one.
Certainly nobody on this table to make some renegade moves with 3 hands to go. Everybody has somewhat comfortable stacks. And even if they don't feel they have as big a stack as they'd like, maybe they want to take the night, reevaluate what to do the next day.
Dude, the pace of play in Asia is just such a wonderful change of scenery.
I can only imagine.
Imagine if all live poker was played at this speed. I tell you what, the viewership would increase tenfold, and the amount of people taking the game up would also increase tenfold.
Totally agree.
Really hasn't been any unnecessary tanking. You know, look, maybe the outlier here and there, but for the most part, truly wonderful style of poker to call the action on. Unpredictable, but wonderful.
I'm all in favor of anybody taking, excuse me. It is late in the night. My tongue seems to be losing it. But just to finish that thought, I'm always in favor of people taking their time if they do need it to make a decision. But tanking for the sake of it, I mean, it might be okay to do as far as your EV goes sometimes, if you're maybe tanking down while other players get eliminated, etc. But you have to realize this is a communal game. You can't play it alone. And you do impact the other players around you. So with this pace of play, it's just such a win-win.
So last hand of the night announced. 102 entries in this APT high roller. This is the end of day 1 coverage after this hand is played out. And tomorrow, same time, same place, 12 p.m. local time. The players will be taking their seats. That means from 12:30 local time, we'll be going live from the commentary booth, obviously on a 30-minute delay to protect the integrity of the game. And tomorrow, going to be playing all the way down to a champion. So a long old day of poker to be watched tomorrow, with a new champion being crowned.
A new billionaire.
A new billionaire.
It's going to be super exciting tomorrow, considering these players will come in with a fresh start. And if this is what they're like at basically midnight, who knows what they're like at noon.
Well, may see some Vietnamese on Vietnamese violence. No, Ngoc Minh Le thinks otherwise. Queen 10 hits the muck.
Okay, bat. Okay. You have 8-3 off, buddy. It's the last hand of the night. Let that one go.
Did he know it was on him? Was he like, you know what, I'm all in, it's the last hand, I want to win. Interesting spot for Jun Hao Wu. Out the small blind. There is that end of the day bubble in the backs of people's mind. They can just fold and come back tomorrow. Yeah, that's a pretty tight fold, but I can understand it's been a long old day and people have just kind of mentally checked out. You want to take that all-important Instagram story Vidor and let the fans know, let the people that maybe bought a little piece of action know that they've made day 2. And with that,
bagging and tagging is a special feeling as we see some of the players write their names down. I mean, It's always the best feeling, but what is exciting is what lies ahead on day 2 tomorrow. I simply cannot wait, Henry.
It's going to be a fun day of poker. If the last 3 days are anything to go by, tomorrow is really going to be the cherry on top for the action coming out of this Asian Poker Tour in Phu Quoc. Same time, same place, 12:30 local time. Vidur, myself, and Greg will be covering day 2 of the APT High Roller and crowning our champion. We'll see you both, or see you all tomorrow.
Time to get the cards in the air, shuffle up and deal.
Hey, I'm Ray Chu, Marketing Manager of the APT. Welcome to Taipei. I'm thrilled to tell you all about our upcoming series here in this amazing city from April 28th to May 7th. There are so many reasons to join this series. The new venue, Asia Poker Arena, is being built from the ground up and at 55 tables is the largest permanent poker room in Asia to provide the best player experience that APT has to offer. And the main event guarantee is set at 30 million Taiwan dollars. And it's not just about the poker. Taipei is a wonderful city with so much to offer. From the building that stands at 508 meters high, the Taipei 101, to the magnificent temples all around the city, to the gorgeous sunset at Danshui Bridge, to the delicious food at the night markets, and the incredible experience of releasing a sky lantern at Shifen. There's something for everyone. APT Taipei like you have never seen before. And go. And of course, the Asian Poker Tour has an amazing community of poker players. We're excited to welcome you to experience the new era of APT up close and personal. And like we always say, it won't be the same without you.
The APT Taipei main event has a guarantee of 30 million Taiwan dollars. A seat is $1,650 US, but thanks to Natural 8, you can get yours for just $3. Let me tell you how. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday! Natural 8 has 3 satellite events, one on each Sunday, starting on Sunday, April 2nd. And the guarantees are extremely plus EV. It's a very good deal, you know. It's the best deal. Hey, I give you best price. Sunday, April 2nd, $30 satellite, 10 seats guaranteed. Sunday, April 9th, $200 satellite, 15 seats guaranteed. And Sunday, April 16th, $200 satellite, another 15 seats guaranteed. What an incredible deal. But if you are on an even tighter budget, it's not a problem. Each of these satellites I just mentioned have step satellites starting at $3. And if that's not good enough, there's more! For those who aren't quite ready to go all in on their travel plans for Taipei, boy, do we have a deal for you, because for the first time ever, you can now qualify into the day 3 of the main event live in Taipei by playing the online day 1s of the main event on Natural 8 from the comfort of your own home. Step 1. Download the Natural 8 app and play any online main event Day 1 flight. Step 2. Survive the bubble on Day 1. And lastly, Step 3. Jump straight into Day 3 of the live APT main event in Taipei. And if somehow you still can't make it, you're guaranteed a min cash. But don't just take my word for it. You can learn all about these incredibly plus EV satellites and online Day 1s at www.natural8.com. I'll see you in Taipei.